Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Shadow and Sun Show, and welcome back for another Appendix N Book Club meeting. This time we're doing something a little bit different. Fred Saberhagan is on the Appendix N list, but I have been dying to read this, that being the Berserker first book, for my whole life. I just never got around to it, and I own the first half a dozen or so books, and I sort of foisted it on my regular panel to watch it. Speaking of my regular panel, um, we have the Crafting Gamer because he was here first, and then we have this jackass, my regular co-host, and I'm his regular co-host on his show on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings. How you guys doing?
Lies.
Mix up.
Lies.
How you guys doing?
Pretty good.
Okay.
I think it might
Better off if I hadn't foisted this on you.
It got better as the book went along. I'll say that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I wanted to hear.
How far did you get crafting? Or
I went all the way to the end.
You
Ooh.
are a good man, a gentleman and a scholar.
I was slammed the last
Me
couple of
too.
days. I just
Me
could
too.
not.
Yeah, I'm going to have to start not doing that, waiting until the last minute, because something last minute-ish will also come up and wreck this for us.
Well, me, I've been like either between what I do normally and getting some writing done.
So
Like,
playing Conan and
I have not actually played Conan more than twice in the last 2 weeks.
oh, really?
Yeah, I've been blowing off Hungar in a non-gay way.
Sure.
Yeah,
We'll see what he says about that. And where was he Tuesday?
I have no idea. He was playing Conan.
I do what I want.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Um,
It's his life.
yes.
I'm not going to razz him too hard about it because he's not here. When I see him in person, I'll give him the usual ration of.
But I'm currently bouncing between 3 books, and doing so has like that and other distractions. I've gotten a lot more writing done than I would normally do.
Yeah, I literally haven't written for the God Wars in 2 days because
Bad.
of this and the Dragon Magazine review I did with Bubba this morning
Mm-hmm.
and other things that have, unfortunately gotten in the way. Jackie had a dentist appointment on Tuesday. I had my Tuesday game, and that was, a thing. But let's get into it. Crafting, unless you want to add something.
No. Let's see here.
Okay, let's go with the first one. Did you guys like it? Hate it?
Now, are you talking about the intro, which is technically part of the story, or just the first
The first half of the book.
No, like there is 11 stories in an intro. Are you? The intro is technically framing the story collection. So,
Yeah.
Are you going straight into the first story? Is what I'm asking you.
Yeah, just the first half.
No,
Generically,
not the first half. There are 11 short stories and an intro. The intro frames the short stories. Are we starting with the intro?
Okay.
Our story 1.
I am including a general overall opinion of the first 163 pages.
You are not hearing what I'm saying.
Yeah, I am.
There are 11 stories and an intro. There is a section here called intro that frames the stories.
Yeah, I get that.
We are only doing the first 6 stories.
Right.
Only 6? I thought we were doing all of them.
We were up until this morning.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
Just remember the last 5.
For next week.
Okay. Well, interesting enough, I can talk about this a little bit. My first My favorite of them, are interesting enough, is the second book, or the second
The
story.
second story. Okay.
Good Life.
So,
Yeah.
Good Life, the one that got made into an Outer Limits episode,
Mhm.
minus the narrative character, which was what was his name? Uh, let me see
Hemp
the stupid
something.
Hemp Hill.
Hemp Hill.
Okay, so the intro is by an alien appreciating humanity
Hmm.
for not being elitist, highfalutin hippies
Like themselves.
like everyone else. Uh, okay.
That was interesting. I would like, I believe that at the beginning or end of each chapter, there's like, yeah, I guess it's, yeah, at the end of each chapter, there's more from said alien. Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Uh, no, it's just general musings. There's a term for that. Most people don't read them.
It
Uh,
it felt each of them was almost a poem, for lack of a better term.
yeah, yeah. It's like in Dune, they had musings from Princess Arelon or whatever. They're kind of like that. There's
Rulin?
a name for that. Um, the most recent, I watched an interview with. No. It was the most recent lesson from Brandon Sanderson's course, and he talked about that, and he said writing these is a waste of time because nobody reads them. Like 90%, like there's math, right? 90% of people don't read these, and the only larger number of people that don't read these intercessions or whatever they're called uh, are, are people that turn to the back of the book and read the end first. So just expect that and work towards it because it will actually sell more copy if you are aware of that. So if you're interested in selling books,
Yeah.
two little things to be aware of.
Water.
Okay, so the first story we're talking about
Without a
is
thought.
without a thought because you had no idea what I'm talking about with the intro.
Yeah, I just wanted to skip ahead.
Well, it's part of the story. It's technically part of the
I was
book.
including that. I just wanted a general, vague, what do you think
Yeah.
so far?
Oh, general like of the half the book we read.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said.
Uh, yeah. He must have gotten better as a writer.
Well,
Hmm.
the stories themselves get better. Where I was like when I was on Discord
He
saying it was
wrote
it was
14 more of these over 30 years.
well, it does get better, like I said. But where I was saying backstage on Discord where it's a train wreck is the fact that the first 5 stories have absolutely nothing to do with each other. Yes, it's all about berserkers, but like there is no connection point other than the berserker. I mean, he could if he had written these in like and didn't connect them with the berserker, nobody would know. That's how much lack of connection they have to each other. And that
If
does
you pay attention, if you pay attention, Hemp Hill does pop up in every third or so story.
Hmm.
uh,
Yeah, the first one really, really had me down because it was just so ridiculous. Whatever those
I
dog
It,
creatures
it's
were.
I don't know. I
world
kind of like
building.
the dog. I kind of like the high low human intelligence dog thing. I was actually kind of disappointed that they small spoiler, you never see them again.
Oh, in this book, you might see them in other
Mhm.
ones,
Well, that's true. Fair enough. Fair enough.
but write that down somewhere, crafting,
Yeah.
and put them in your own fucking book.
You know, that is true. They make sense to me, especially if you're dealing with an intelligent computer. In fact, one of the things that made me kind of take a step back, I think I might be skipping ahead just a little bit, but one of the things that takes me a step back, they use robots in one of the later books. It's like, what happened to the monkey dogs?
Right?
Yeah.
Well, I
Well,
guess that the empire of man or whatever is so vast that you've got different things going on all over the place.
Yeah.
yeah, there's at least like 50 to 100 solar systems,
And,
maybe
and I
more.
think he did a decent job of you know, explaining the vastness through the different stories
Yeah.
without,
Oh yeah.
giving us
Well,
a GW.
well,
Uh,
well. When you, especially once you finish the whole thing, the by the time you're done, you feel what he has created is vast. You feel like he's talking about actual like the solar vast differences between solar systems and how the berserkers and them actually able to travel faster, and yet it's still a vast distance because it's like, yeah, it is in one of the earlier stories, um, where one of them gets detected really far out, but it's far enough they're able to send somebody to try to do peace treaty.
Yeah, I like that's my favorite one.
That is a good
The
one. My actually, I'd
the
have to
one
say that
with
was
the
my third
hippie.
favorite. My second favorite, I think, actually goes into the last half, which is called Mr. Jester.
I really
Okay,
like
so
that one. That
we're,
one's
we're stopped just before that one, Mister
Okay,
Jester.
that is a really good one.
Okay.
oh okay because I read a little past Mr. Jester. My favorite story so far.
Yeah.
What do you think of the overall premise of the Berserker and the whole idea
Well,
of this?
there's a few holes, I'd say. Like there's a few things that doesn't make any sense. Like the, excellent, it does and doesn't make sense at the same time when the Berserker lost the meaning of its creator's language. When it's a massive computer, and if it had lost that kind of data from damage, you'd think it would have a personality problem. Like it
Yeah.
wouldn't be not necessarily it's like it's a nice berserker, but like it's deranged even before a berserker or something like that.
Mhm.
That would definitely make sense for its memory bank not having that anymore.
Yes. I agree with you under our modern understanding of computers, but
Mhm.
I will take up the shadow uh, devil's advocate this time and go when this was written, punch cards were still the height of computing input
Okay, fair.
technology.
Mhm.
That is fair.
So,
I had forgotten all about punch cards. But I
yeah.
mean, the whole idea of two species, one creating the doomsday weapon that brings themselves about. It's I don't know if this is the first place or if Star Trek gets the credit for that with their episode Doomsday.
Um, actually, there are stories of this kind of thing going back to like Greece.
Hey, Raven.
Hey, Raven.
Like I think there's like a sub story like this in the Odyssey or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, like
Hey Raven.
ever since man has seen the stars, they create up stories about the stars. And
No, I'm the you made something to destroy.
yeah.
Yeah,
Every culture
the
has the doomsday something, be it a
Mhm.
creature or a weapon.
yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of the
Like
old
I think
ones were like,
Hephaestus or like the Titans were doing some
Uh-huh.
shit like that.
yeah, or what was that giant metal guy? The
Yeah,
something your Frankenstein's monster that
Yeah.
rises up and kills you too, kind of
Uh,
thing. Uh,
yeah,
because clearly this was a huge inspiration for the Death Star, the Borg, and countless other, the Doomsday Weapon from Star Trek,
uh-huh.
other
yeah.
ideas. Clearly this spawned some thinking toward that end, and
Yeah. A story I would have loved to have seen in this. Maybe it's in the next sets of books. That'd be pretty cool. A berserker that is curious about life. Not saying it likes life, but it's like, why am I to destroy life? What is why? Why is it so important? And then it like experiment. The whole story is it experimenting on people, and at the end it comes to the conclusion. Well, life is chaos. Life can't be predicted or whatever. Like some sort of logical answer, and it's like that's why I have to destroy life. That would have been pretty cool.
mhm. And we've got, if for those of you interested, there are, more books in the series to ponder and maybe go over these ideas, because I don't know about you guys, but like I was telling Justin earlier, I was really expecting something a lot bloodier and gruesome, Hellraiser esque, just like
Yeah.
awfulness. And this is so lighthearted. It's hard for me to take it serious, and I really want to like this stuff.
Yeah.
I want to give the guy the credit. You know, obviously, you'd have to write it different today. It would have to be just awful, just gut wrenchingly awful if you wrote it today, or even in your guys' lifetime. It would have to be
Yeah.
just filled with
Well, if you want, in 2 months when we're done the It's Not X Files,
Mhm.
we could do It's Not Berserker.
I can see doing a an alien invasion story. You know, see how because everything I've ever seen when it comes to that.
Now we talked about Dean Koontz.
Mhm.
He has a short story that is like it's the third law of Clark.
Robot Arthur C.
Uh,
Clarke's robotics.
no, not Clark. What's the other one? The
Asimov.
Asimov. Asimov's third law, the one that's a sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic.
Right.
And I think it opens or closes with that, and it's literally just like something comes out of the sky and it makes Cthulhu look like a fucking picnic.
Yeah,
You know,
that makes sense.
you'd be like,
What do I do with
"Can
you?
I have Cthulhu, please? And thank you,
Yeah.
please, please,
Don't
please,
forget
please,
that.
please, please." But yeah, yeah. I can't remember the name of it, but you can
I just
find
had
that.
two. I just had two ideas in the last 1 minute of different short stories or novels. So thanks, guys. Um,
Yeah.
that I will ever get to them, we shall see. Um,
Start regiment. Pick. You got to find a time and just tell the family, sorry, but this is the time I'm.
I do. It's usually after dinner on almost every night except Tuesdays and Thursdays and Fridays. And yeah, see,
In
uh,
days with a Y, so you got to find a different time and
yeah, yeah.
either.
Because I've cut down in the last month or two my doom scrolling, the stuff I watch on YouTube. I even passed on watching Salty Cracker on Wednesday. God forbid. Um,
Yeah, I
that, that
spend a
that's been a that's been a huge part of my internet viewing for since day one of his show. I think I literally caught his very first episode. But back to the story. What
Okay,
did you guys
so.
not like about it? The story, not the writing.
Yeah, yeah, because we talked about the style the other day.
yeah. Uh,
Without a thought, you go, Carson.
let's see here. I gotta think about this. The story. The story itself, like even the first one, I can't think of anything I like deeply disliked about it. I'd say if there's anything about the story that I disliked, it was how many stories were possible to put in
Mhm.
there. Like for example, during the Armada fight, that would have been an excellent time to have like for the next story be one of the berserkers had a whole bunch of good life in it, whatever, and he captures like hold on a second, captures a general, and the general ends up converting all the good lives. And during the Armada battle, the general and the good lives destroy the berserker. That would have been like an amazing story to have. All right,
Hmm.
excuse me a second.
Yeah. Um, I thought like it feels very much like world building
Mhm.
and like a good premise. I like it as a story, but it's like this whole book. It's random stories in a world being collected by an alien. So we don't really have time to spend with these characters. We're just like it feels very much like this one time I did you're at a bar telling a story,
Mhm.
and it's like next time it's going to be more ridiculous. Time after that it's going to be more ridiculous.
Like fishing stories.
Yeah, like fishing stories. Um, yeah, I'm expecting like this story could easily repeat several times through
Mhm.
this book. It's like inter chapter things being told, and by the end there's like five berserkers. And it's just
Excuse me a
like
second. My dinner just got finished.
I tricked him with a game of tic tac toe.
Hey George, welcome to the show.
Hey,
Ragnarok
George.
Raven, that's a good example.
Yeah.
Because that could have been what they were trying to describe. Um, with their limited, vocabulary and understanding of, science. For me, like I said before, it needed to be bloodier and gruesome and awful. You know what I mean?
It just
You needed to
when it was written, what was it, like the 70s, the
67,
60s, 67? Yeah, 60. So no, he wasn't going to get away with that. Like,
right? And I'm guessing later on maybe it was more okay or something, but it
yeah,
really needed you needed to hate these creatures, and if anything, you just were, I had like this sense of wonderment and questions and maybe a little sympathy for them when you need to hate them. You need to hate them like there's no tomorrow. That they are they are the devil. You need to hate them, and it was hard.
yes, maybe it's like you're saying with that fantasy character, you don't want him to be a zero to hero story, the one you're writing, but at the same time, you still need to have some sort of, like, this is the weak part. You still need to have some sort of obstacle or connection that actually feels like if you put it as just an unmovable, untalkable brick wall, it's just like, what's the point of writing that story? You know, it's if you're just bashing your head up against a brick wall, you're being dumb. Kind of like, I don't know. I'm trying to use an analogy here. I don't know if you're gonna get that, but it's you need some sort of interplay. The problem is, like you're saying, they're the most detailed characters in any of these stories.
Right? And
Um,
they while subtly they are portrayed as vivisectioning monstrosities, you don't feel it.
yeah, at that time, you don't really get the visceral, like, you don't get the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde
Or
of
Dr. Mangala, except the when they do talk about peeling the
the
skin off and saving it. And I'm like, yeah, a little bit more description wouldn't
Dr.
hurt. I mean, I don't want to
Mangala
read it, but it
is,
should be there anyways.
yeah. You should actually look into Dr. Mangala sometimes. It's not what you're
Well,
taught.
everybody knows that name for that reason.
Yeah,
I don't expect everybody to
the
go in.
the sick and evil medical experiments of building a park with extra hospital funds. I'm not joking. That's literally one of the things he was
Do you have a better
accused of.
name?
Yeah, just fucking stolen. He had people driven up to an island and forced them to eat each other. And
Okay.
then when he sent supplies, it was just more people that got eaten.
I never heard that. Again, uh,
There's a good video done by what's that? Count Dankula. One of the actual competent things he does is,
never watched a single one of his videos.
yeah. I don't really like the guy, but
He
his
uh,
Mad Lads series can have some pretty
he
interesting.
looks too much like Ben Stiller in
Uh,
disguise.
he's a recovering commie youth. He was one of those punk guys that fell into that as a young age, and he's like come out
Recovering
of it.
the crazy Japanese
Recovering.
equivalent of Mangala. Okay, yeah, it's just a name that everybody, can
We're all indoctrinated with it
for good or bad.
for bad. Uh,
Well, that's how the expression goes. So,
yeah.
favorite moments so far?
Uh, I liked Good Life, even though it's weaker than the TV adaptation.
Hmm.
Um, the last one we're covering is I and Mr. T.
Hmm.
I think that one was like it had the potential, but like,
What T and I did.
yeah, that one.
Yeah,
And he's a recurring character. He was the guy captured on the planet where when the Berserker was going after the general's wife from in the rocks or whatever that fucking one was called.
the Stone Place.
The stone place. Yeah.
How about you, crafting favorite moment?
I don't think he's back yet.
I'm here.
Oh,
Oh, you are.
Just got back, but I'm here. Favorite moment. I gotta stay to the first half because my favorite moment is actually in the second half. See here.
Oh, Peacemaker was good. I like Peacemaker. The very end scene of Peacemaker. I think it was Peacemaker, right?
sorry,
yeah,
what?
where he is. Are you talking about where he says it's killing my cancer?
Yeah, that was funny.
I'd have to actually agree with Justin, not because he said it, but because the more I think about it, yeah, that is actually an absolutely great scene. It's like, did the machine accidentally capture his cancer as human tissue?
Yeah, it was so dumb and like busted up. Like that's what you get when you start paying attention, is that these things have just been wandering around looking for stuff to destroy with no sense of purpose beyond that. So they're all half blasted to shit from whatever.
Yeah.
Um, and
Micrometeors and that kind of thing, I assume.
warfare and whatever.
Mhm.
And because they're
Oh yeah,
so
the
single mind of purpose.
yeah, the one in Good Life, they had they even specifically mentioned there's a huge crater, 50, like 2 miles deep. No, 2 miles across, 50 miles deep.
Yeah, so they're fucking huge.
Uh-huh.
And it didn't go to an asteroid and pull out materials to repair itself as a priority. It just kept.
Yeah, the only one that does that is the one during Peacemaker, the one that's so fucked up that
And
it can't
only
even kill a human.
and I think it's suggested to it as
Yeah,
an option, so it didn't think of it on its own.
yeah.
I don't think so. I'd have to go read it again. I'm not doing that.
It- yeah.
But yeah, the fact that, like, once again, they are stupid, right? Like, they are fundamentally stupid because it was able to trick it by giving it some cancerous material. But
Yeah,
of course, he can't land because
just in case.
just in case, right? So
Mhm.
and
Because they are, they are kind of devious in a way.
Oh
You
yeah.
yeah,
know,
Well,
but
here's how I would
stupid.
describe. Yeah, here's how I would describe them. They are your straight up, extremely stereotypical, almost taken to the extreme, high intelligent human. They are incredibly smart, but they are also incredibly dumb in 90% of all other areas other than where they are
Autistic.
smart. Yeah, thank you, autistic. I would almost
Yeah,
describe them as autistic.
uh
yeah,
yeah, maybe before autism was even a thing.
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know. My favorite scene was actually, and I had to actually, I wrote in my book. It's during what story is it? The Stone Place. In
I
this
hated that story.
in this place, in this hour, fear itself could frighten no one. To describe humanity's just absolute resolve, we're do or die.
Yeah,
We don't. We have
yeah.
no longer a single F to give other than our own
Yeah.
life, and we're ready to do it.
That is the story where the overall political intrigue of the series is supposed to start.
Mhm.
I watched the Grammaticus books talk about this one.
Okay.
I found it when we were looking for an audio
Uh-huh.
version, and we both like Grammaticus, right? This guy
Yeah.
with the two bookshelves, and he's got
At that
like the
weird
cart.
angle
Yeah,
that
and he's
nobody
got like
has in our house.
No, it's obviously a corner of his that he set up somewhere. Like
Right.
he's cut off a corner of a room, put the camera in the corner, and put a chair and a couple of books.
I like
So
noticing what's on his shelf, and noticing that
yeah,
he and I have very
he
similar tastes.
yeah,
So
he moves things around, and my non goes bump in the panties writing will be much like that. Um, that I have that as a line in my notes. Use this pen name for books that go bump in the panties.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So would you guys recommend this one to other folks?
Uh, for people that have a hard on for giant robot killing machines, yes.
Okay.
To
Same.
anyone else, no.
Yeah.
Crafting.
I just agreed with Justin.
He said same. You were quiet, bro.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
So you would, and why?
Because I know the person is into this sort of thing. Like, I think my once he gets older, if he continues the path he's in for what he likes, I think my nephew would like this story.
Okay.
Book. Yeah. Um.
Yeah, I would. I am technically. I think there's got to be something, and I, right now, I'd be probably more along the lines of Justin's opinion, except for I know that he went on to do great things. He got better. He wrote more of these books for a reason, and like with Rendezvous with Rama, it was very reminiscent of that. Exploring this big ancient machine made by other things that are far more intelligent than we are, at least now. In the future, who knows? That that
Well, intelligence is a relative statement. More technically
well advanced,
competent, yeah, it does not equal intelligence.
right?
If they were intelligent, they wouldn't have built such a fucking death ray in the first place.
Right, they would have found another way to defeat their enemy through peace. Sure.
Yeah, well, not through peace.
Well,
Never through peace. Don't be gay. I know you're a homosexual, Shadow, but don't be gay.
um, no, and no, and no. Well, I mean, the greatest martial arts instructors will tell you the best way to win is not to get in a fight. You
Well,
know,
yeah.
that's, it's the last resort of the incompetent is violence. I have to believe that there's something that he's getting to, either at the end of this book or later on, somewhere at some point. There's got to be
Well,
something that,
there,
that he's
there
keeping from
is
us.
there is that subtext that's supposed to be built up, I guess, in the next 5 stories. If crafting noticed it, I don't know, but the guy from Grammaticus mentioned it, and I'm waiting for it. And I've seen it started, which was there are two brothers from I think Mars, and one is like the general that the got the girlfriend, and the other one is like a politician, and he's like jealous that his brother is becoming so popular as a military commander, and he ends up throwing him into cryostasis. But we haven't gotten to that story, you and
Right. Right.
and like taking the glory for himself, so he can like rule humanity or some shit like that.
Right.
Um,
Which
Yeah,
there's
I
always going to be somebody like that in a situation like this
yeah.
who thinks they can turn it to their own ends. Um, I
Uh,
kind of wonder if it's going to be like a. Uh,
crap. Well, Crafton was trying to reiterate on that. I don't know.
yeah,
Go ahead.
I actually did pick up on that, but not. It's in the second half, but not until the it comes to a mini climax of between those two. Then I know, and then I talk about it. It's like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. The
Yeah.
back of the stories. Okay, so yeah,
The problem is like they're only mentioned so far in a stone place, and I couldn't tell you either of their names because there's like the writing is just so discordant
Mhm.
in that story, which is the longest one up until this point. I think it's like 14 pages or 15 pages. Most of them are like 6 in the copy I have.
Mhm.
Um, Probably more in yours. You have the paperback, right?
Mhm.
We have the ebook, which is 116 pages, including the where is it? The
Intro.
no, the oh, what's it called? Table of contents and cover.
Yeah,
Like so, there's
yeah. Mine's 243 pages.
yeah,
Um,
so about half of each page because there's like the cover page, which just says Berserker. There's the author page, the table of contents, then the intro. So that's all 3 pages.
yeah. Are you guys gonna continue reading past this one? You think? I know I can ask crafting that. Are you gonna read the next one?
Uh, Probably only if it comes up on the appendix N. There's only a few books that I like want to read outside of this, and I still haven't gotten around to them. So if it's not on the appendix N, I'm probably not going to get to it at all.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
Not even someday in the far future.
Well, maybe. I mean, my problem is I tend to get distracted and do other things. Like
Yeah.
this is
Did
one of
I
the
give
reasons why
you?
I'm not very fond of sleep. There is so much to do. I run out of time because I'm doing something else, but then I want to do something else. Problem is that I can only devote so much time to do this because, like miniature painting, I got to get miniatures painted. I have a huge backlog. I'm getting more here soon. Um,
You
but
could do this and because you're listening to it, right?
yeah,
So you could
well,
do this and
I
there's your
find it
playlist.
easier to listen to stories. Oddly enough, when I'm playing a first person shooter video game,
Mm.
Okay. I can see that.
I
I'm gonna give it a good college try to make it through all 14 at some point. I've got the next 4 or 5 for sure in a row, so I don't have to do anything other than pick them up. But I gotta know, man. I feel like there's some like really cool thing.
And he wrote like 22 of them, not 15.
Oh Jesus! Because I've liked some
Uh,
of his other work, his fantasy stuff, the Book of Swords, I think it was,
yeah, yeah. Book of Swords, Book of Lost Swords, Book of Gods, and
and
that's like 20 books between the 3 series.
right, and I gotta, I guess, I can't help but think that there's some buried treasure within these numerous books
oh
that
well, this story in and of itself, it's like it would make for an amazing space opera or something like that, like a huge campaign in space for high power characters, even if it's high power through
I'm really surprised
technology.
with you crafting. I was expecting you, from what you'd said earlier, just like, no, man, this ain't my thing, or that. But I'm really surprised, pleasantly
It
so.
was a train wreck because the first basically half of the book, like I said, was extremely disjointed. This
Yeah.
None of the stories felt connected. If you had not used the term berserker, all of those stories would not have had a connection. That's where I had my issue.
Yeah, and I would not have any doubts if you told me, like, I would absolutely believe you if you told me that they were like the concept was there and he just changed the name of whatever his first draft was to make them
Yeah.
contiguous in the same world. Right? Like I could easily see the first story being just some alien spaceship that he removed any like information about and made a robot
Hmm.
just to cram them together to make like a short story collection. Basically, this is a short story collection all framed around.
Hmm.
As
Yeah.
far as I don't think the rest are. They might be. I
Yeah, it's funny. The very first Bolo book is exactly the same as this in that respect. It's a
what
bunch of
one
short stories.
what one came out first?
I honestly don't know. I can go look it up later and get back to you on that. But they're very close in scale, and I wouldn't be surprised. I want to say that I think Bolo came afterward, and that it could have easily been inspired by this in ways, you know. And then I think it goes into more full length novels, and I think that's like maybe that was kind of a thing back then for authors to have so many little ideas going on and not knowing where to take it at first, and so they put something like this out, and then they go, oh, now I got the story. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
they've built the world. They know the concept will at least sell enough copies to put food on the table, and then it's like, let's just keep pumping these out as often as I can to make sure the check, right? Because uh, there's like some math out there that says all you need as an author to be successful is 1,000 people who will buy your books consistently, and to give them things to buy. So if you got a
That's
thousand
not a very big
people,
number.
if you got 1,000 people that will buy a book off of you once every couple of years, you're doing okay.
I could see each and every one of us being able to do that minimum. So,
Yeah, most people don't sell more than 12 copies of a fucking book. So, like
well, I'll just
that's
buy 20 of my
that's
own and break that record, won't
you'll be throwing money away because there's the cut going to the the
I?
point
Yeah.
is you
Well, if
don't
you've
do
looked at my
that.
garage, if you've looked at my garage, you know that I have not had any problem with throwing away money in the past.
Yeah.
Um,
And also the algorithms that most companies have uh, are designed to exclude things like my mom bought the book, or
uh,
my cousin bought the book, or my neighbor bought the book.
yeah,
Uh,
bastards.
yeah, well, you know, it's to prevent you from juking the system.
They take all the fun out of life, don't they? Did you
Yeah.
guys have a favorite character?
What character?
I had two so far.
Okay, I kind of like the hippie because of
Uh,
his last thing,
I liked
but
Mitch. You know, the guy who the girl was programmed to fall in love with. He seemed like a stand-up guy. Trying to fight against.
oh yeah, 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 yeah,
He was a decent chap.
yeah. That was like the subplot to Stone Place, or was
I,
the
I
one
think so.
before it?
I think so. He just seemed like out of all the characters up to that point, he seemed like he could easily be like the action hero guy. Uh, Later on, I don't know if that's going to be the case or not. I don't remember if he died or not. I want to say he was pretty laid up at the end of the story, worried about if they were going to be able to regrow his hand, which I thought was interesting. If they could regrow your freaking hand, that's kind of a future I wouldn't mind being a part of, provided you know other things are not awful. And then even though
Yeah, yeah. I want to be in a world where they can regrow your hand, but there aren't giant space robots sterilizing worlds.
yeah,
Yep. And all the robots and all of them are autistic.
right. Which I also go ahead, guys. Did you crafting? Did you have a favorite character?
In the first half. Let's see here. I have a favorite character in the second half.
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, me too, me too.
you know,
I'm just gonna go out and say it. Mr. Jester, I love that character.
same
Uh,
here. That's exactly what I was
So I
thinking.
should have made time
Uh,
to read that one.
but
it's goofy. It's 1950s, 60s stupid humor, very Joker esque, but not a bad guy. As a matter of fact, he's kind of a good guy, and it makes me wonder so many things about what might be going on, because I get this impression that at some point, like, mankind teams up with the berserkers somehow, and ushers in like this amazing golden age in the future books or something, because I could
that
see
would
him,
require reprogramming.
but you could see, maybe Crafty, you could kind of see where that he might be going in that direction,
Yeah, it is
where
possible.
maybe with humanity they can fix all the damage they did, the Berserkers did, and bring about something magnificent. A utopian society thanks to the technology of the Berserkers.
Yeah, but where's the story in that? Like,
Well, the
we have
getting
a utopian, and then it's
well,
like,
I mean, after 10 or 12 books in, or maybe it's the last book. I could see
yeah,
that that's
book 27 ish.
something like I could see him
Book
leaning
49.
toward that. Turning
Book,
finally.
book 69. Sorry. It happens at book 69.
Yeah.
You're right.
Or,
If,
or
if,
or
if,
there's something even more, some sort of bigger like wow moment. You know what I mean?
yeah, if
Because right now it's just like, eh.
yeah, if I were to say I had a favorite character for the first half, I'd have to say it was Good Life because right at the end when he found out what the Berserker did, he didn't just keep following the robot. He was like,
Okay.
"Well, fuck
So
you."
in the Twilight Zone, the late
Outer limits
90s,
mean?
2000s, I don't know. Sorry, the Outer Limits episode. Um, they removed Hemp Hill
Yeah,
and most of that subplot about the bomb, and it's just the Berserker, the robot ship. They don't call it a Berserker.
yeah,
Um, trying to breed another good human. He meets up with the ship meets up with another ship. The good human, the good life from that ship is a woman. She comes over and he's trying to get them to mate, but then the good life on that ship, the first one, like falls in love and they revolt and they steal the ship and go to a planet.
Mhm.
yeah.
Um, yeah, it's a good story. It's obviously inspired by this. Worth looking up if you can find it.
Okay.
All that kind of stuff
Maybe
is in
there's
the
even an acknowledgement, somewhere in the
Probably.
credits.
yeah.
I mean, how does that hurt anybody? Uh,
Well, it's close enough that they probably licensed an adaptation or whatever.
mhm. I can see that. Because after all these years, I'm kind of surprised that no one's taken a hand at this and said, let's try to put it on the big screen or the little screen or something like that. It's maybe it just missed its window and now it's just too late. But I guarantee if you get the right people together, they could pull something out of this and make it something watchable at the very least, considering how once again we're kind of in a drought when it comes to good science fiction. Every there's those dips and valleys, uh, or peaks and valleys when it comes to sci-fi, and people will just watch whatever crap is on because there's nothing else. We've all seen it, and why not? I've actually got the board game for this, where one player's a berserker, one player's a bunch of ships. That could be interesting.
Yeah, yeah,
But
that could be uh, there. I don't know.
I mean, there was the ogre game. I'm pretty sure there's a bolo game. There was Starship Troopers, all very similar premises. One or a few against the horde. Even in fantasy, I've got Dragon Rage, which is you play the dragon or you play the townsfolk. There's always that. Hell, even in the Art of War video game, there was one scenario where it was literally 100 to 1. You're one guy, and all you got to do is get from point A to point B. But there's 100 dudes on that screen trying to kill you. And I
Mhm.
actually beat it one time. It was one of the only ones that I could beat in the Art of War. Mind you, this was back, I want to say, Commodore 64 era. But I did beat it. Um, because you just had to outthink the situation and stick to the goal, which is very straightforward. But there have always been the 100 to 1 odds kind of games and players, people willing to, you know, take the shitty end of the stick and turn it into victory. Captain Kirk, that's been his, you know, his motto, his life story, hundreds and hundreds of times, and people love it. So maybe
Yeah.
that's
Sorry. I was looking for that episode of The Outer Limits.
yeah. I wouldn't mind seeing it if you could find it. Uh,
Well, some of my favorite games to play are the games where the GM starts off session zero with abandon all hope, ye who enter my game. On both sides, I like both GMing and playing in those games.
uh, yeah, every once in a while, you can get the right group of people that are up to that. But these days, you got to be kind of careful.
Yeah.
A lot of people come in with some preconceived notions that just aren't accurate.
for
Fortunately,
sorry, repeat for what? The preconceived notions for what?
just when they come into a game,
Yeah,
like a role playing game or even a
yeah.
war game, they have preconceived notions of the way it should be, and it's not. Not a lot of people are open to what like Crafty was talking about, where I'm going to throw you in a shitty situation, or in a role playing game, you start out in jail, or in a war game. Uh, you have fewer troops than I do because that's the challenge. It's like, no, we have to be fair and equal and the exact number of points. And oh, you've got 1 point more than me. Well, let me rewrite my army so that I'm not screwed out of that 1 point. Those kind of people. I've literally met them and played against them. It's like, well, how many points do you have? Oh shit, like in a 500 point game, they're like, I can only spend 498, but you spent 499. Let me go look and see if there's something else I can add. Like
Uh,
it's going to make a difference.
my largest army, no, actually, my second largest army is orcs. I only have my space marines are only larger because James sent me anywhere from 1,500 to 2,000 points worth of space marine primary space marines. So
Must be
technically
nice.
that one's larger, but my orcs are my first army and my second largest army. Like you definitely can't point balance with orcs. It's incredibly hard. I've done enough research to know that's incredibly hard. I mean, you can technically by the numbers point balance them, but orcs are so swingy and so random. No matter
Mhm.
what you do, you can't point balance them,
Well, that's the fun. But
and that sounds like fun.
it used to be no. Um, you like you would be uh given an army that's maybe like 50 cavalrymen,
Yeah.
and you would say to a game master, like, so war games used to have game masters as well
Mhm.
back in the
Mhm.
old days, with what was the one that what's his face, the guy that wrote War of the Worlds wrote
Little
uh
Wars.
Little Wars. So that was one of the first, not the first, but one of the first. So you'd be like, I have 50 cavalrymen and 100 infantry or something like that. Maybe a couple of artillery pieces because it would be Napoleonic era. And I'm going to march over to the town of Brandenburg, and the other player would have no idea that you're doing that. He'd just be there in Brandenburg, and whether or not he had 50 infantry, no cavalry, and maybe 5 artillery pieces, or maybe he has 500 cavalry and 10,000 infantry, and like you're gonna march up to that and get exterminated, or maybe you win because that's happened in history.
Yeah.
Radically smaller forces have like routed
Mhm.
much larger ones through fear tactics or whatever.
And,
Well,
They hit
broken
just
I
morale and things
broken
like that.
morale. Yeah,
I would love to play a more long term game like that. That's why I'm signing
yeah,
up for God Wars.
yeah,
Good, good.
But
yeah.
stuff with the way Warhammer is set up right now. The reason why you don't need a GM is because you're going to finish, maybe not right, obviously not super quick, but you're going to finish in one day. when you're playing a game with the GM, unless you aim to make that short, your best option is to do that over a long term period.
Yeah, when I used to play Napoleonics, we didn't use Little Wars. We used a different rule set. Um, we would set up the table, and that game we would play for 3 to 5 hours on a Tuesday or Thursday night, and then we'd meet the next week, then the next week, then the next week, and then the next
Mm-hmm.
week, and then the next week until that game was done.
Yep.
And it would be just set up in Jim's basement, the guy, for until the game was done. And it's
Uh-huh.
just how it was.
Back when uh, we could get away with that, I guess.
Well,
You
you
know,
need to have the space for it.
well, not just that, but there's a mentality or a frame of mind going around with half the population that such a thing should not be allowed. You know,
That's weird. That is just fucking weird. Like I understand like skirmish games and shit, but the kind of people that have that mentality also like have the mentality that like they know they'll never be able to obtain. Like our society is so degraded through the pivot and whatnot that most people could never even dream of owning a house, let alone one big enough to have expendable
I was
space.
actually referring to women who aren't going to have that kind of behavior in their house. A lot of women
Well,
just don't want that kind of thing going on, taking away from attention from themselves to think that the guys are going to come over regularly. I've seen too many guys literally leave the hobby as soon as they get hooked up.
it's just
Just can't do it anymore. Why? The wife
well,
don't want me to. Well, so
then leave her.
right? I mean, why did you hook up in the first place? You've
Yeah,
been doing this your whole freaking life. Gaming or whatever. And it's not just gaming. There's a lot of hobbies that are
yeah.
just and because of whatever reasons, I don't mean to get into it now, but um, I would really like to see a resurgence of people, whatever it is, being able to do that instead of just mindlessly sitting in front of the TV, even if it's board game night. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That used to be a regular thing. Maybe it was pinochle or cribbage or whatever. The one game, Monopoly. You invite a bunch of neighbors in, and they come over. You have dinner, and then you play a board game every freaking night because what are you going to miss on TV? It wouldn't matter because it wasn't ever really that important. Especially like in the 50s and 60s when people weren't, so focused on that. And even during those times, there were a lot of people who still, just had the radio and didn't even own a TV.
Well, back then there was less of this like you had to be like people had individual hobbies, right?
Right?
Like spaces were designed so you had your own like there was a sewing room and a den. Like that's
A
what those
billiards
spaces
room,
were. Yeah, well, a den, right?
and they weren't so glued to a digital screen somewhere or another.
Well, they're just like
Uh, there's a reason
just
why
filling in for
personal
the
li-
newspaper and the book. So
yeah, well, there's also a reason why a lot of personal libraries back then had thousands of books. That was their digital media.
Right.
yeah.
You gonna come in?
Well, that's not completely true either. Crafting books, the idea like rich people had a lot of books. Books it was mostly newspapers people read. The common person
Or
owned
their magazine of choice,
yeah
Lifetime,
yeah
People.
people owning books as like a middle class lower class thing in large volumes didn't start showing up until the pulp era.
Yeah.
Till the what era?
Pulp, just because binding got cheaper, right? Like the ability to That the
Yeah,
product became less expensive.
my parents were huge on books. Um, both of them read extensively. Even when we had, a really nice TV, etc. The TV would be on, but they'd both have their nose in a book before
Hmm.
bedtime. Both of them uh, for as long as they lived. They were, and growing up as kids, we had boxes and boxes and boxes of books because there was, they weren't able to get rid of them and didn't really want to, but eventually the used bookstore became a thing, and then they would trade in their books and
Hmm.
get ripped off. But
Well, it's relative.
no, no, I've
Yo,
seen a
no,
lot.
Shadow. As soon as you become a business owner, you will not consider it ripping somebody off. They'll consider it good business practices.
No, no, no. What I mean by that is I've been in 10 situations in a used bookstore, just minding my own business. Someone comes in with a box of books, and then the seller, wastes their time by going through them and saying, "I don't want them," and the customer saying, "Well, if you find you can have them, I'm not taking them home." Okay,
yeah.
Uh,
or I'll give you $10 for a box of books that damn well, even at half cover price, they're going to make $100, but they just they know it's some mom who's
I,
just
what?
I, I
Once again,
don't know,
Shadow.
man. I,
Sorry, go ahead.
my copy of Tech War had a cover price of $7, and I bought it at the used bookstore for $1.50.
that's cool.
And we get back to, especially if you're going to be buying and selling stuff, Shadow. We get back to as soon as you have your own store, that will not be you will not go, oh, that was stripping somebody off. You'll be like, oh, that was good business practice.
No, no,
And,
no, no,
and
not
I will
lying
tell
to them.
you that it was a 20-year-old copy when I bought it, or at least a 10-year-old copy. So that book came out in the 80s, and it was like 2007.
No, what
So
I mean is
if I
lying.
picked it up like as a new copy, it would have been at least $15, 20. Yes, uh, generally lying that they'll lie. You get that sense like there are a lot of people in that business that are able to make it because they don't point out that a first edition has come through the door,
Yep.
and that's same in like the all the hobby spaces as well. Like card dealers will do that.
Mhm.
Card dealers are notorious
Pawn
for it.
shops.
Pawn shops. It's like if you don't know what you got when you go in the door,
Yeah, like
you deserve
Expected.
what
I've
you
I've
get.
never been ripped off for anything I've pawned or sold. Like I traded a couple Magic cards a couple times for some specific cards I wanted, and I knew the value. So the guy
Yeah,
came
but you're not everyone.
Yeah, and that's clearly the point. Is if you know what you have, it shows when you talk to them about selling this item, because you'll say exactly what it is. Versus, I got this old phonograph I want to sell. You
Yeah,
know,
and it's
and
not
I'm
even
like,
a
well,
just a record player, or like
right,
you
you
know
know
what I
what I
mean.
mean.
Like
But if you say the name and certain little ways of speaking, where someone who's just trying to get rid of junk, you know, we'll talk about it differently, and they already know they've got the upper hand, and therefore, you know, they can work you as as the seller.
and
Uh,
honestly, if you're too lazy to do a Google search in the modern day, you
I know,
deserve it.
I know, but
hmm
this was back in the day before things were possible, and you know, uh, wasting their time going through the entire box and then saying we don't want it. They've already wasted their time. That's a tactic to wear them down. You know, I got to get something out of it. Okay, at least I got rid of the junk in my garage.
Yeah,
Versus, okay, I'll just take them then. You know,
yeah,
because I guarantee you, uh, six out of 10 times the seller would be like, okay, I'll tell you what, I'll give you $25.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Some
Where
well,
lowball
Shadow,
figure.
you do have to remember there will be times you as a seller, I mean, I'm going back to this for you. There will be times where you will go through that yourself and say, "Oh my god, this is all junk. I can't sell it. Sorry, dude." And the dude will go, "Well, I'm not taking it home. Bye. It's your junk now."
Right, and if I truly feel that way, I will donate it to a library. But you know, I understand we've kind of got
Libraries don't take libraries don't take book donations. They're specifically required to purchase them under agreements
Yeah,
because
I found that out the hard way. We donated a bunch of library books, and they looked and they cringed. I asked why, and they said, "Well, we have to send this off to this place, and then if we can, we got to purchase it from that." It's like that's bullshit.
yeah. No, it isn't because every time you borrow a book from the library, the author gets a penny.
okay.
It's part of their budget. Like they don't buy the book, they lease the number of times it can be lent out through a budget.
Huh.
Well, they do that with DVDs too, because that's
Yeah.
what we donated.
Yeah, and there's also other places you could donate it. But yeah, you're right. If you don't have the ability to just look it up, but like I was trying to say earlier, we've gotten past the point where there are books or large swaths of books that aren't worth anything anymore. There's always now a customer somewhere, especially in a mail order business.
Oh
I
yeah.
could take in 1,000 books and turn every one of them
Uh,
eventually.
oh god, like,
Well,
and
that's
then you
the
also have to.
thing.
Sorry. Go
You
ahead.
just you just sell them on Amazon. You just put them up on Amazon, and they'll
Or eBay.
Uh-huh.
yeah. Amazon will be better because they have like a a more book oriented section. Like when you actually hit the books on Amazon, it's not just a general auction site. That's why you get like the books that like it shouldn't be $80, but it's listed for $80, and
Yeah,
it will sell for $80. You were saying,
yeah,
crafting.
yeah. I was.
Uh,
Go ahead, Crafty.
I had a song literally steal the thought and just take over my brain, so I forgot what it was.
Okay.
Sorry, man.
It's not your fault. It was literally just a. You guys ever have that? You're thinking of something, and then a song just pops in, basically devouring your thought. That's just what just happened.
Yeah, it happens, especially when you get older, Crafton. Welcome to middle age.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, provided you've got the space to store them, they will all sell. And I've sold some crazy books I never thought I would sell. You know, got a fair price. Happy to do the business. Um,
You you buy the roll of bubble wrap and the like envelopes. You know the parcel envelopes. You just get like
yeah, no,
100 of each. And
no. In 30 years of selling on eBay, I have bought one single roll of bubble wrap. Everything else I recycle.
when you're running a business, it will be cheaper to buy the fucking roll.
Maybe
Plus, when you're rolling a business, it looks more professional when you have something consistent.
if I get that kind of repeat business, I'll worry about it when it starts happening. But for me, I've made about 50 grand on eBay. It's not a lot, but over you know the time, it's not a lot. But it paid for most of my collection of games and
Most of
books.
the time, most of the time when an eBay sale, it ends up going towards like an energy drink or something. But that's because I have everything small price, so it's not like I get a whole bunch to begin with.
Yeah,
Excuse me.
I just had a $10 sale the other day. I got to get that out in the mail. A single
Yeah,
lead miniature, $10.
nice. Yeah, I actually realized after I proclaimed, "Oh, I've got my first custom. I got my first custom order, or whatever the hell it's called." And someone asks for me. Sorry, I'm a
And,
little.
and the same goes for envelopes, boxes, and styrofoam peanuts. Styrofoam peanuts are the big one. If somebody actually
Yeah.
packs me a package with that, I
Well, I was
even if it's just a
specifically
little,
referring to books. Like if you start we buy and sell used books
yeah,
corner, which you can usually do, set up like a single desk with a roll of bubble wrap and like a stack of 500
Envelopes.
like
Yeah.
preset envelopes you just need to write the address on,
Yeah.
and you just
Yeah,
like
and
book, wrap, roll,
Tape.
fold, shove in envelope, write down what the
yeah,
title is on the
Adam
the
Savage makes a
envelope,
very nice.
ready to go.
It was Adam Savage makes a very. It was technically a paper dispenser, but you could easily sharpen the edge and make a one for bubble wrap.
Yeah. Oh no, they have those. You just have like a dowel going through, and you just and
Yeah.
slice.
Yeah, that's fair.
Uh,
Sorry, I'm an interesting mix of do it yourself and be lazy and buy from someone else.
Yeah.
have you
See,
met me,
Yeah,
yeah, I
uh,
think that's one of the reasons.
brother? Where have you been my whole life?
Yeah, one of the reasons we all get along because I'm too lazy to move my thumb over to the C button when I'm spelling cool because the K and the O and the L are all right next to each other.
I like that you relaunched the video today with a worse spelling instead of just rewriting. Like you can edit the title and say part one
Yeah.
instead of like shutting it
Oh
down and
no! What I
saying
did was I hit the live button on accident, trying to go to the copy the link, and then I accidentally hit the live button.
oh, okay.
And the messed up part is it won't let me delete that video yet.
Oh, yes, you can.
Not
Because
on
I've
any of
done
my
that.
devices. It won't let me do it yet. There is
Yeah.
no.
Okay. Go into go into your back end and then just go to the video and then there's like the three dots thing and it'll ask
Yeah, it,
you.
it, it wouldn't let me do it.
Okay. I'm not
Yeah,
admin on your system.
it was.
Make me admin and I will do it for you.
I'll do it when the show's over. It's just
Yeah.
one of those stupid
Because
things.
I've done it. I've done it like twice this month where I've gone to hit exit, but because it's in the same place, because poor UI design.
You relaunch the show.
Yeah, I relaunched the show. I did it. I did it right after talking to crafting on what was it, Monday, Wednesday, yesterday.
something like
Probably
that.
Wednesday. Because I remember I left because I had to get
Yeah.
to doing something particular. I had to hurry up and do it. But
Yeah.
since we've stopped talking about the book,
We can go
I'm
back
reading
to
it.
it. We already
I'm
covered
really
three of the
surprised.
stories.
Crafting actually enjoyed it as much as he did because he's usually a pretty rough, hard sell on some of these old timey books that
Yeah,
I
well,
bring out. But uh,
each individual story was not bad. They do get better too, and I will say they start connecting better as they get later on too. So it's just the first half that bugs me, and it's like I said, it's just because like Justin pointed out, it's like he just stole. Oh, I have this idea for this story. Well, I need something for Berserk, Bink, or for Berserker. Bink, let's just shove it in.
Yeah, I will tell you this. I said that Good Life was the basis for
Outer Limits.
that Outer
Yeah,
Limits episode. They're crediting a story written by uh, Harlan Ellison
Probably because they
from
didn't want to get sued. God, I hate
from
that guy.
now the Harlan Ellison story is from 3 years later, so he ripped off
Berserk.
Saberhagen.
He was a scumbag. He was an
Oh,
absolute piece of human garbage.
absolute subhuman trash.
Yes.
Um,
I actually watched a video of his. It was only 3 minutes long, and I couldn't make it through a minute and a half before I hoped
wanted to
he
throw
was.
up.
No, um, he was talking about there is no God, and I'm like, well, there's one son of a bitch I will not be bumping into, will I? When I get up the stairs. Uh,
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't be anyway, because his people all go down.
and besides, Shadow, you're not going upstairs. You're not going anywhere. Even after the entire universe collapses from heat stroke, whatever it's called, you'll still be sitting there going, "Damn it, why didn't I die too?"
No, you'll fart and a new galaxy will form.
Shadow's essence will flash across the universe.
Well, that's the cycle of the Big Bang, right?
Yeah,
yeah, that's what happened last
The,
time. I had a bean
the last
burrito
one, the next one.
and a side of nachos, and next thing I know, I'm having the conversation with you farts.
Yeah,
But I'm going to open up the show to anybody who wants to join us, Raven, George, etc. We will finish this review next week, uh,
Yeah.
and uh,
Crafting will have forgotten everything, so it'll be even more fun.
right, and hopefully, no offense to you schmoes, but we can get a couple new people in to discuss it.
it would be nice. So it since especially you and Justin tend to be 50-50 on if you'll agree or not. I'm the wide swing. We could use someone who's a little more stable as to if they're going to like it or not.
Right, right. Well,
Well,
and maybe someone who's not necessarily, um, you know,
examining it from a literary perspective,
Yeah.
right.
a novice literary perspective, but still.
Right. Well, someone who's just wants to read the books for the right reason, which was to understand why or how they inspired the games that we love so much. You know,
Okay.
it was a brilliant and wonderful way to share a bit of themselves. I thought by putting an appendix of all their favorite books that inspired them in the Dungeon Master's Guide of old, and give us a little insight as to how they made the sausage, so to speak. You
I
Yeah.
know,
am putting I just put the PDF in the book club room,
okay,
not the conversation, the actual
okay,
channel on your Discord.
right. Because even though this wasn't one of those books, um, it I know they read it, and it probably inspired them for other games that they wrote, whether it was Star Probe or Space Empires or even Star Frontiers. Um, a book like this, when it came out, had to have come across there. They had to have seen it. I just can't picture them not seeing it and going,
Well, definitely the first one was out when AD&D came out.
right,
And it just says his name generally in the Appendix N.
right. Which
So,
I don't know that any of the Book of Swords were even in a thing back then.
uh, give me
Or,
a
if you just look up
minute.
his bibliography and his history, what he could have written prior to 1978, I think it was.
Saberhagan bread. I'm doing that right now.
Because he's definitely not the worst writer we've read.
No,
No. No.
he's just like I was telling you about author voice. I don't know if you
Yeah, he's very
got
mediocre in this,
yeah, like a lot of things are stated instead of experienced.
and even his
Um,
choice of words, like I kept banging up against this word. I don't know if you guys noticed it, but I've never heard before. I know it's a word, and if it's not, then I'm kind of surprised. But englobement,
globe like to be
to create a
insert.
globe around something else,
Yes.
when they were referring to how they would assault the spheres, being the berserkers, it
Yeah.
was
I'm scrolling. So on Wikipedia, there's like a list of science fiction and fantasy authors, and I'm searching through S, and it turns out his name is like the fucking first one on the list. So I skimmed right past it because I figured it wouldn't be.
oh,
This is
okay,
SA, right? And I was like, oh,
right, George. I grew up seeing his
close.
books and name all over the place. And he's got kind of a cool sounding last name. You know,
Saberhagen.
right?
I'm
Sounds
gonna, I'm gonna,
very.
I'm gonna steal it for a character.
And I hope it's partly an homage of something, as opposed to it just sounds cool. You know.
In my case, it'll be just because it sounds cool.
Okay, well, who knows? Maybe one of these days you'll be like, yeah, or at least to keep his memory or name alive, because you know good or bad, he did pump out a shit ton of books in his lifetime. So
Yeah.
he had to have learned or done something right at some point, and I can't picture it being his very first book was just, you know, a million seller kind of thing. Maybe it was.
Book of Swords came out in '83.
What's up, George?
Hey, Berserkers.
Uh,
Just chilling.
did you read it? Because if you read it, you
No,
should have been
no.
here the whole time.
I just, my life's a disorderly drunk.
The ebook is 116 pages, and 3 of those are cover, the author, and table of contents. So
Oh yeah, there's no reason for me not to do it. It's just I am just not very good at
you're
not
watching TV
procrastinating and
shows.
watching TV,
You're watching
doom
TV shows
scrolling.
about
Yeah.
Harry Potter being
Yeah.
obsessed with Narnia and finding out the
Hmm.
C.J. Lewis or whatever his name
Yeah. You know, I just
was a
passed
kid
up
did
on
it.
a box
Yeah.
set of Harry Potter books on principle.
No. Harry Potter is actually a good series. You would enjoy it.
No, I wouldn't.
Why not?
Uh, because everything about it seems gay and retarded.
You were
I just don't
dumb.
like the imagery. It just
The imagery was made to sell. It's a book series for 12-year-old boys. Everything you've read is a book series for 12-year-old boys.
well back then maybe, now not so much.
Yeah, no, trust me. I think if you accepted it as a book series for 12-year-old boys, and it ages with the audience, you would really enjoy it.
Yeah, I tend to introduce these books to my nephew once he's old enough to properly read.
Yeah,
But
Both of them.
on the good note,
because
uh,
unlike the modern audience of D&D players, fucking people die in Harry Potter, and brutally. There
Oh
is
yeah.
more blood in one Harry Potter book than there was in this entire fucking war story novel.
Hell,
well,
Harry literally in the first book, Harry literally kills somebody. It's not like, oh, he defended him. Well, he kind of defended himself, but not like simply like, oh, what's his name touched him. No, according even in the book, Harry reached out and specifically touched what's his name in the face, which means Harry aimed to
Squirrel?
kill him, which is in and of itself a pretty dark thing for a 12-year-old to do.
well,
I
on the positive side, I did pick up a first printing of Doctor No
ah
and a first printing of Return to Oz.
Cool. Dr. No, is that the one where he's like complaining about the gyps or whatever?
I haven't read it yet, so I don't know. But
That's the James Bond book, right? Like
yeah, yes,
it's
yes.
yeah. Oh, he's all like these darkies and whatnot.
The terms they used back in the day, etc. You know, because that's just the way everybody was, and these people who don't get that, especially the ones who lived through it, that's what really pisses me off. I get it with these youngsters; they think the whole world should have known better. Go fuck yourself. And the people who were there and knew and did the same shit, you know, they said it. They were the same people that they're complaining about, but now they've seen the light and the error of their ways, but yet the entire rest of the world didn't and still doesn't. If you
My,
travel abroad, you'd be amazed. Uh,
until the day my grandmother died, she still called cashews nigger toes.
Yeah, I didn't say it.
you
I'm
mean
just
Brazil
saying.
nuts?
Whatever. The ones that
Cashew.
have the ones that are big and
get
kind
your
of
racist
cloth.
comments straight there, TCG.
Yeah,
Hey, my grandmother said it. I'm just repeating it.
I understand, but we're not allowed to do that. We're not even allowed to sing along.
I have a black cousin, and my grandmother said it right in front of
Yeah.
her.
And
That makes you more racist saying that, bro.
We used to play King of the Hill, but we called it something in addition to the word hill, that wasn't appropriate.
King of Hill.
So what's new, George?
Nothing really. Just got through the second book of the Magicians, and yeah, he's also Kid Diddler in the books. It's just like so. It's kind of like it's a it's good and it's bad. It's like I don't know if it will
It,
outweigh.
you
Yeah,
could tell that it's literally an excuse to insult another people's cultural creativity
yeah.
and yeah, that's like
I think
once you
yeah.
know that that's what it's there for.
Is yeah, I guess he could be like, oh, I'm just making my own version of it, and it's not the world where there's God and love and heroic actions, or is it like he's just I mean, there's an analog of C.S. Lewis, and he's a kid toucher or diddler or whatever.
Yeah.
And uh, so have you guys read it at all? I guess obviously
No.
Justin or seen the
I
TV
read the
series.
first one, and I stopped at episode 11. I got distracted with other stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't even know what you guys are talking about, to be
The
honest.
Magicians.
yeah, it's on Tubi now, so it's not as a TV series. It's not bad, but there's like these things that are. It was from like around 2015, so it's the beginning of the when woke just kind of started taking off. But it's that like deconstruction of something where like, oh, we're gonna take superheroes and deconstruct them, and they're all miserable saps who like
No,
are
I need to
evil in home.
I need to stop you. It's not when woke began to take off. It's when woke writers got lazy, so it
Good
was
point.
easier to tell what they were doing. Because that shit's from
Hmm.
the '60s.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah. So I don't know when the book is from, but the book kind of
2007, I want to say,
hmm,
maybe
the
2010.
and like he's not bad. It's some good prose, and like when he does like I think he likes Narnia. I think he's just like I'm gonna deconstruct it though. Like like not as good as let's say what's his name Moore and deconstructing
The
superheroes.
the
Like he does it and he does it well, and you still have the owl who is the hero, and you still have
the
uh, what's his name Rorschach who's a hero.
The
Sally
nerd
Jupiter was a
character.
hero.
Yeah,
Her mother was a hero.
yeah,
Uh,
uh, I'd have to say the best deconstruction I've ever seen of that kind of any story. Family Guy, Star Wars. They point out everything wrong with
That's
with those
not.
three
yeah, but it's
movies.
more
my
of a
favorite one
parody
is
than I don't
That's
know
not a
that it's
deconstruction.
deconstruction.
Oh yeah, well they do parody stuff like making jokes, but if you actually watch,
It's
they point out everything wrong with them as well, like blatantly
yeah,
wrong with it.
and it's done lovingly too. I like the part where it's like, is he wearing Han Solo's clothes? Like,
Yeah.
watch it. He's wearing Han Solo's clothes.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, back to the magicians. It's good.
the
It's good enough to watch. Like
the
it's watchable. Like you
the
were saying earlier, it's something watchable for a little bit at least
yeah.
till it gets gay. Then it's very
Yeah, I heard that
watchable.
about the boys too. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
The Harry Potter character, uh, he has like a redemption arc,
kind
apparently
of.
in the
Yeah,
books.
I don't even think he has. But he has. He grows. I wouldn't say it's a redemption. He does grow. Second book, it's more like a redemption.
Well,
The ending of the
he
second book.
goes
But yeah,
Dark Lord or something like that, and then I was
yeah,
reading the Wikipedia page, and then he like realizes the error of his ways or some shit like that.
yeah.
Not
But
really.
because
It's
the
kind of
show
too
kept
late though.
going, the show kept
Right.
going, he
Mhm.
ended up like they ended up killing his character off or some shit like that.
Okay. I don't remember. I
And
think
they did like another 2 seasons.
yeah. There's like 3 books at least, and there's 5 seasons.
Yeah.
Um, the and they differ pretty significantly enough that who knows what's going on. Like I said, I wonder if like the author, like I don't think I think he
Oh dear
likes
God.
C.S. Lewis's books. I just think he's like, yeah, maybe he's. The other thing is, I guess Aslan, who's kind of a Jesus analog, he has them as
Yes.
rams, as two rams, which is a Hebrew imagery there, Old Testament feel to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird because I hear a lot of the you know allegations against Lewis, but I also see a lot of his uh, religious work and writings, etc.
Hmm.
I gotta wonder if uh, somebody just uh, made up a bunch of shit after he was dead.
What was he accused of?
Well, touching kids.
Was he
When
actually
did
accused of
you?
it, or is it just something made from this book? Because I never heard anything about that before.
Neither have I.
Supposedly, C.S. Lewis was a pedo.
Never heard that before.
Really, I have, but uh, it was only like many years later, uh, or maybe I'm thinking of the guy who wrote
Arthur
Alice
C.
in
Clarke,
Wonderland, or both. Um,
maybe Arthur C. Clarke, maybe.
no. It was either Alice in Wonderland or Narnia. Uh, it,
Shadow.
huh?
Realize just about everybody who writes children's books is called a pedophile, right?
No.
Mm.
Dr. Seuss was called a pedophile.
Yeah. So maybe I know I get it from I got a ration of shit from Connell when we were talking about Narnia, and I had never heard it, and I'm like. I find it really hard to believe that
Internet
a
here.
guy who was so connected, with writing religious books in his era, uh, anybody would have even thought of something like that and not just killed him. You know what I mean? It was so long ago that if that sort of impropriety was suspected, we would have never read his books.
I think you're thinking
Yeah.
Lewis Carroll. Yeah, here we go.
I know Lewis Carroll
When
was.
I wrote C.S. Lewis, and the first thing came out was Lewis Carroll.
Maybe that's what Connell misinterpreted or something. Um, but
Now, Lewis Carroll, he wrote Alice in Wonderland. They did a movie where he was played by Johnny Depp, and that, like, he had a close relationship with a woman and her family. Like, she was a widow, and the children inspired that story, and he was accused of it, and it was just like someone that wanted to get with her made up the story or some shit like that, and he was like a very what you call immature person.
uh,
Um,
Michael
Peter
Jackson.
so
Pan like, Michael
what?
Jackson like.
Like yeah, and I don't believe Michael Jackson ever diddled any of those kids. He was just like broken as a child and was trying to reclaim his youth. Um, but not as severe as Jackson, but from what I was saying, yeah, he was
Yeah.
just childlike as a person,
Yeah.
and of
Eh,
course, of course, some spiteful person can do that, right? Just make shit up. It happens all the fucking time. Um, well, yeah, but who knows? Maybe he did. I wasn't there. He could have fucking been raping those kids left, right, and center.
yeah,
Um, in both cases, I can
yeah.
only tell you from
It's
what
just
evidence I've seen.
uh, you know, uh, uh, C.S. Lewis was I believe he uh, lived in an area where I just can't see that being hushed up.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of those things. It's either hushed up or the person's disappeared. Right? It's one or
No,
the other back then.
no, maybe to
Mhm.
excuse Grossman, maybe he's just kind of making an amalgam of characters where he's like, the pedo
Yeah,
part was from C.S. Lewis, from Lewis Carroll, but the world is way more C.S. Lewis than Lewis Carroll.
Mhm.
yeah.
So you ever going to join us, Raven McMinney?
She can't.
Oh, she can't. I
She's
didn't. Where'd that happen? I must have missed that. Or is it right there
uh
and I'm just missing it?
No, she
Yeah,
said
yeah.
she would later. It's
Oh, okay.
later. Um,
Yeah.
we're gonna be on for a little
I
while
just
longer.
saw something about her being busy because of training or whatever. Um,
Oh yeah, I read it now.
Yeah,
he
but
said that.
she's
But
not working right now. She's
Yeah,
been
yeah,
Yeah, I
off for
was asking
a
if
while.
she started the job yet. How it was
reading books
going.
is painful and is hard enough, but when you have these individual boxes with words jumbled so far, for some reason they almost become just a white blur when they're set up like that for
yeah,
me. So they're really hard to read.
yeah. Well, you know that plugin I gave you will
It works
work
for
on the
this.
side, not on the on screen, but it will work in the chat.
Oh, awesome! I'll have to remember that. Well,
Yeah,
I took a second to focus and actually read it this time, so yeah, I know what she said.
yeah,
Sorry, Raven, if you're there.
Yeah, but I don't think she's working right now.
We'll
yeah.
see.
Maybe I don't know.
Oh.
I thought her schedule was. I don't know.
It
I'm
could
still
just
waiting
be
for her.
Raven being Raven. Okay, we don't have to
Yeah,
worry about it.
Yeah, that's true. It's fair. She's a big girl. She can take care of herself.
she's also a bit of a
Until
spaz.
yeah,
Yeah, from the comment, looks like they're
just
doing some training or something.
yeah. Just remember that's that's my Lochnar, you dirty bitch, or whatever that line is. The Shadow knows it. He's got it memorized. He can say it
It's
properly.
my
Shadow,
luck now, you stupid bitch.
yeah, stupid. It's my Lochnar, you stupid bitch.
We need to get like one of those soundboards where you just hit a button.
I
I'm
tried to
working on it.
work on one, but
I'm working
Janet,
on it, but I've got it's got to be uh, on my tablet. That's the
yeah,
only way it's going to work
I,
for me. And it's
I,
got
I
you know,
I sent Justin the one that Raven uses. Raven, uh,
I
Janet.
I
Janet
don't
uses.
I don't recall you doing so. So if you could send it to me again, I would appreciate
Yeah,
that.
sure. Let's see here.
Don't don't worry about it right now, but sometime in the near future.
Well, I'm actually partially curious, honestly.
Yeah,
So I could continue to talk. I'm just curious. Actually, this is what I
yeah.
want to go through. This is what I want to go
Do you
through.
guys listen to music while you write?
Sometimes.
Yeah. You
Classical, like opera and symphony.
Honestly, lately, and I'm a big music guy. I was in several bands, etc. I literally get more writing done in absolute quiet.
mm, same here, but I'll take a pause break to listen to something when I'm stuck. So I might like write a few paragraphs, then listen to a song, and
It
then
depends. Sometimes I can like listen to YouTube or music or something, but lately I've been trying to just you know
do.
pure quiet. And I've actually uh, uh, had a conversation with Tom Dye. I don't know if you remember him. He's the guy who owns Minifigs, the really old line, one of the original lines of miniatures in the hobby. And he's going to be taking a look at the God Wars, having played numerous play-by-mail games back in the day, written many games, etc. He's going to take a quick look at it. He might even join us.
That'd be cool.
Well, we would never know.
Right. Well,
Fair.
yeah, everybody who's in the game has signed the sign-in roster sheet. So I fair if he does join us, I think it only fair that you guys know. And
I don't. I don't. I'm, I'm not a fucking celebrity whore.
well,
Unless it's
I'm
a
looking to
really
be
hot
knocked out in the
celebrity,
first round.
then
that's not possible. No, he's a very interesting guy uh, who's considerably older than I am, and it's an extreme pleasure and honor to get to be able to have conversations with some of these guys.
yeah.
I don't want to
Well,
say the other thing I'm thinking. I'm sure you guys know what I mean, uh, because
yeah, you are a celebrity whore.
no, I was talking about not being around anymore.
Okay, I thought you were a celebrity whore. Um,
Not really.
I was just like saying celebrity whore now.
I think the term you're looking for is star fucker.
Nah, it's too noble. You don't deserve that level of respect.
Okay, okay, that's fair.
George, how the fuck do you think you get knocked out in the first round? Are you already regretting signing up to something you have to do for
No,
30 seconds every
7 days.
20
I've
every
it's just so
7 days?
I've never done anything like this, so it's gonna be
What
I
be
don't have
what
high expectations of my performance.
It-
just don't be crafting. That's all you have to do.
just think of
What I do wrong?
Exactly, bro.
George. Have you played any of those like civilization type games?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Okay,
I
then
got one that's all
you
beavers
know
that
more
I play
about
all the
this
time.
than I do because I don't like those games, but I'm running one.
Okay.
I grew up
Just
with
do
Age
what
of
you would do in it.
Empires, Age of Mythology. What was another good one? What the fuck is that game called? Hold on.
I like
It's,
Lord of the Realm.
what the fuck is that game
Yeah,
called?
I think I
It's right over
played.
here.
I think I played StarCraft and the World of Warcraft,
It's about
like
Hero
Nintendo
something.
games that
Hero
were like
Quest.
that, where you
Hmm.
build stuff.
I had like a reskinned World of Warcraft that was called. That was like a Middle Earth one. That was all right.
Yeah.
And by those games, I meant on the Game Boy. Okay, I miss that. Fuck, I love my Game Boys. I had like every version up to a point. I had the PSP. I loved freaking handheld game systems more than I liked the big TV screen ones because I traveled so much back in the day. For various things, and being stuck on a bus or a train, not wanting to talk to anybody. Pull out a game and just
Just be
uh,
careful with tunnels on trains.
and why is that?
What, you never seen Euro Trip?
Oh yeah. Shadow is that guy.
Oh,
Okay.
okay, fair, fair. So he wants the tunnel.
I don't know what you're talking about.
The girl from that movie died.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
Basically, the premise is that a
Whoa,
guy.
I'm gonna go look it up, bro.
Okay,
Don't
fair,
look it up.
fair. Do it, do it, do
I'm gonna go look it up. We'll be right back.
I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
it.
I liked when he fights the mime. That's a good part.
That is another good scene.
Two
Oh, my
tribes
robot
go to
balls!
war.
What?
I'm not going anywhere near Berlin. Just like they just hear him saying Berlin, Berlin over again. So they end up in like the Czech Republic or someplace.
All right, what fresh hell is this?
My baby takes the morning train. She
Okay,
was
we're there.
running
Yeah,
at 5 a.m.
Let me
My
just
baby.
fucking full screen, you damn stupid piece of shit.
yeah. Can you turn the volume down? I know the song, but I don't want YouTube to.
It,
It ends real quick.
yeah, it's just in the background. Is it not full screen?
It
So
is
easy
on
to
my
see.
end.
Okay,
Oh, you gotta take
'cause
the
it's not on my end. It should be like
That's you, Shadow.
yeah.
See if that I'm
You
right.
know,
is that Borat?
No, it's just some actor. He's from some stuff, but he's doing a Borat type bit.
Well, Remember those old movies where like they were like it would be like a what would be prelude to a sex scene, and then they would just go through a tunnel, and next thing you know, they're smoking cigarettes.
Hmm.
Mi scusi. Mi scusi.
Good for you, Raven.
Miss Gizzy.
Okay, so he is Michelle Trachtenberg's sister or brother in the movie, right? Her. And there's a scene in a nightclub where they're like dancing and they don't realize it and they're making out.
Mi
And it's
scusi.
like, ah.
Mi scusi. No. Mi scusi. Mi scusi. Mi scusi. What? Big tunnel. Who's touching me? Scotty, is that you? Who's in it? Who's touching me? Scotty! Mi scusi.
Is that the guy from Portlandia, maybe?
I have no idea. I can look it up if you want, but yeah.
Miss
Yeah.
Gizzy.
Now we know what Shadow does on a train.
Yeah.
Oh man, I remember having diarrhea. On
Oh,
a train.
well, I cut it off
European-
too short. There's another scene where he's like licking Scotty's face while he's dreaming.
That's
Muscusi.
that's disgusting. And welcome to the show, Owen.
Yeah.
I got
Welcome,
Grumpy
Grumpy
Old
Old
Slam.
Slan. How's it going? You guys missed the book review, I guess. You can always rewind it and check it out later if you're interested. Um,
I don't know why, but I got a sneaky suspicion either Raven, Omenal has already read this or he would like it.
Yes.
well, I don't know.
We
Either
both
of you
did.
guys read or liked this novel? Grumpy, Omen, throw your 2 cents in there. If you want, you know where the link is. You can join us. Raven, why aren't you in here? Um, but man, this week went by really freaking quick.
Yeah, actually, it
Yeah.
did for me too.
Mm-hmm.
I hate when that
Groundhog
happens.
Like a flash, I really didn't get much done.
Oh, I got a bunch of stuff done, but still, it just like whoosh. Where it's already Thursday. Like I'm not paying. Well, I am paying for it right this moment. I'm going to get paid back for it. I bought my parents One Piece, the 1,075 episode collection.
Oh.
I'll keep them busy for a few minutes.
I suppose.
I took the opportunity to buy a couple more miniatures. I got some Rat Riders on. They're basically giant balls of death, and I absolutely adore those things, and I wanted them. Had a few extra bucks, so I bought them.
I had a feeling, Grumpy, that you probably old school like that. So how many people thought Saberhagen's Berserker was a fantasy series? Well, I mean, I didn't.
I could see how you could make that mistake. Honestly,
I mean, the cover doesn't look very fantasy. As a
well,
matter of
no.
fact, the
What I'm
cover
referring
is
to the story itself. They don't mention being in space that often. I mean, they do where it says you got air in the ship during inside the Berserkers, but space itself has such a the vastness. Yes, you get, but the dangers of space you don't. So I could see how you could mistake this as some sort of a fantasy if you only get like one or two books in certain sections.
Mm,
Like excellent example would be Mr. Joker. If you actually read just that, you would think this is borderlines on a fantasy series, if not straight up fantasy.
well, or something, Gotham City.
Well, it's I won't say full fantasy. How about science fiction fantasy?
What's up, Owen? Long time no see, man.
Yep, sorry about that. No, I have not read the book. I saw it. It was like I was on
Really?
vacation.
I don't know why, but I feel like this would be a book you would enjoy. I mean, I could be wrong. I don't know you that well.
Well, you know what? You might be very right. I've been slowly trying to go through stuff over time, and ever since I kind of feel that now that I'm not sucked into as much into the Ukraine war, I feel a lot better about going back to having fun again.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, with the whole news tube sort of thing. Uh, yeah, just it was eating away too much of the precious free time I have, with literally nothing to gain from it. You
yeah,
know, at least cutting down has helped give me more time. But
it also helps improve your mental attitude. I mean, at a certain point, it's like I hate saying this. Europe doesn't. I really don't care about Europe. Good luck. No offense to y'all, but it's
yeah, I'm
there's
sorry, you don't care much about what?
about Europe. There's a
Oh,
big ocean between us. And
yeah.
going back to the good old John Quincy Adams. We do not go seeking monsters abroad to destroy.
Yeah.
But yeah, great speech. I recommend anyone to read that one.
Mhm.
That doesn't have anything to do with this. No, the point of playing games is to get away. The
Yeah.
more you can get away, the better off it is.
Well,
I mean,
I am pretty spoiled. I get to be in quite a few games per week, but I want to get some stuff written down and maybe published one of these days. So that I have something to show for what I did. If that makes any sense.
That's right. You're like, I will leave my mark on the world in the windows. If I can sell one copy, I have made it. No,
Yeah.
no.
Well,
It's easier to sell more than one copy if you just gotta think of the keywords.
Well, I know.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, as long as as long as at least one family member buys it, you're okay. No, overall, I went over
Okay, go.
what Shadow's been doing for his God stuff, and I have a few other ideas. I'll entertain them, but yeah, it's just,
Well, I've always been, I've always agreed with the Japanese saying that if you have a son, plant a tree and write a book, you're immortal. Even though I know otherwise.
Yeah, there's only one way to become an immortal. That is capture Shadow, drain him all his blood, do a blood transfer fusion, replace your blood with his, basically, and then.
You see that right there?
The worst
That
part
did
about it is
not-
that
that
won't
did
kill
not-
Shadow.
wait a minute,
He'll
that
just
did not
regenerate
work.
later.
That
Sorry.
did not work with
Justin
the
showing?
Barbie. Remember?
Yeah, I don't know what you're showing us, Justin.
Okay. That was the amount I earned on things I published last year without spending any money, which
Which
puts
was?
me 182 and change.
Okay.
Right, so that puts me above everyone I know who's ever published anything in income, except for one person that I haven't spoken to in over 2 decades.
Well, I haven't
so.
published anything yet, so.
Well, I'm just saying, like, there are some other.
Yeah, one of these days I really need to. I'll need help because for lack of a better term, I think it's perfect as is. I need to revisit doors my book, such one of my storybooks, such as Blade's Glint, the first one, because that one I actually do want to publish. Some of these I'm just like, man, and they're just there because. But that one I would actually like to publish at some point.
Now with the tariffs, I saw like Steve Jackson Games was like, I guess, having some trouble.
You know what though is, I'd like go plant a tree. That's what he said. That's why he said he was leaving Austin is to go to Georgia, which I find funny in the first place, so he could plant, so he could do more gardening. And I'm like, all right, just do it. Just get off the internet. It'll be better for your health. You're an old man who really is irrelevant. That the only Steve Jackson I'm really to be fair, it's going to both of them. Was the one that did Firetop Mountain? Remember the old, not quite the Choose Your Own Adventure books with the fighting in it, like the Warlock of Firetop Mountain. I found out that was being published by Steve Jackson Games, but the Steve Jackson that wrote it is English, not the one in the United States. So they did a collaboration. Like, all right, look, I love those books. I'll throw some money towards it. But yeah, and I've heard the publishers talk, but what I don't understand is Cipher Games, which they have their books printed in Canada, cost more to have them is cost more for Canadians to buy than for Americans to buy. That makes no sense
Well,
to me.
yeah, it's a combination of not localizing prices, and they do this fucking thing because of the way warehousing works up here for books, and that is nobody does it. We don't have literature warehousing for some stupid reason. It's a void in our infrastructure. So what happens in a lot of cases is books will be printed up here, shipped to the US for warehousing, and then shipped back for sale.
But then they put tariffs on them, which is what really gets me.
And the tariffs go on the
Yep.
return. And those tariffs predate. Like there were existing tariffs before that.
No.
Before the
I
new
just mean,
ones.
but I mean that's just wrong for you guys, is what I'm trying to
Oh,
say.
it's absolutely
Yeah.
wrong. It's
Yeah.
it's killed sales for all kinds of things. But if you're setting up some sort of like print on demand service, they get printed and go straight to the customer locally and never get warehoused. So it like in
Yeah.
the market of like the kind of stuff I'm doing and
Yeah.
indie publishing and stuff like that, it's going to be a massive boon for Canadian booksellers, like Canadian authors in Canada.
Well,
It's looking to be anyway.
Well, I mean, for my hope is, ignoring everything else, is I think that you should have if you have people printing it in Canada, they should treat it as a Canadian item, even if it's shipped overseas. I mean, or wherever, you know what I mean, across the border. They should look at it and go, yeah, you're right, this is Canadian. Oh yeah, okay. You know, it just bugs me from that perspective of.
It's
we
literally a stupid infrastructure thing with like pre-printed books.
Yeah, I mean, you have a few big. I mean, I'm just surprised that they don't say, okay, we'll charge you more for shipping, and I don't mean for the tariffs, but they don't put it somewhere in like your provincial capital for at least like 2 or 3 of them. You know, I understand Ottawa not being counting, but a couple of the other ones. All right, but that's just what surprises me, and it's not. It's not like you're a small country per se.
Seriously, if you were in Canada and you had the money to buy a warehouse, get into doing that. It would be profitable to set up. Like, books are tricky to store to begin with because they have to be climate controlled and yeah.
Stacked properly.
Well, they come in boxes and.
Yeah,
well, I mean,
you can't just leave them out in the middle of Saskatchewan.
That's right.
Well, no. I mean, certain printed material literally has to be stacked properly, or it gets ruined.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, did you guys see
you
the
know,
moose jaw video I sent? I linked.
Yeah. The was it Dave or whatever they're called?
Yeah, this is Jared or I forget what it was. But always something to do here and here.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. It's just I agree. I just wish that they would do better for you guys up there. Part of me just goes, well, tariffs encourage local production if nothing else. It'd be nice if you guys, like you said, it seems to be more about your regulations and stuff than anything else than actual,
Well, the reality is tariffs hit massive multinational corporations the most.
Oh, I know. That's why I'm all for them.
Yeah, and it's
fuck you, Nike.
Yeah, fuck you, Nike.
Yeah, I remember watching Bear, and he was saying something about like if you're gonna send me something, mark it as games, or because it was like
games.
Yeah, I sent him some cards. And I sent it as games and undervalued it because I had no idea what it was worth. So I just went with what I paid for it, knowing that it's probably worth considerably more. But it turned out that one of the things I sent him wasn't what he thought we were both talking about two different things. It's like, oh, I got that. I'll send it to you. Well, what I had was not what he was hoping for, but the other thing he was, and then he found out that he now owns something that he didn't know about. So, uh, you know,
Yeah, close enough.
Well,
Yeah.
we'll see how it impacts my Kickstarters. Because I buy a lot of books
Yeah.
that way. So
You can
Yeah,
also I think that there's another thing you can list a thing as that also didn't.
toys.
educational.
Toys. No, I think it's nothing. You ask Mr. Max. He mentioned it
Okay.
once.
Because apparently role playing games, if you put them, are considered educational, and so they don't get hit by tariffs.
They're also like games, right? So,
Yeah, but I think games has a different thing. If it's a book, they can count as educational, but if it's a board game, it's different. So we'll see.
yeah. Yeah, I'm just waiting for Shadow to send me that extra copy of that writing book that he has.
Yeah, I'll get around to it.
That he keeps saying he's like he sends everybody fucking else something except for the guy he talks to 6 out of 7 days of the fucking week. And that's only because I refuse to talk to him on Tuesdays. I need my own fucking time, man.
He hasn't sent me anything. I've sent him a bunch of crap.
I haven't. I thought I said
You don't care.
I don't. The giveaway doesn't count.
Yes, it does.
Yes, giveaways
I haven't even got
count.
one of those.
Well, okay. Let me rephrase this. I can't giveaways considering he gave me the Arduin book. So I'm.
Yeah. No, he said he would send this to me over a fucking year ago, man.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. He's like a Kickstarter. You have to wait for 18 to 24 months before you actually see it.
Just me though.
Oh,
it's like one of those things where like I was gonna buy it off of Amazon, but then I realized it was like on Amazon US, so it'd be like $10 plus 7 shipping without the tariffs, so like $17-20, and then I go to Canada and it's like $24.50.
Oh, you're like, well, I should have just.
And that's without the shipping. Like, there's no shipping on that, so it's like, what is it like? You're really making that much more on the profit margin. You lost a sale. You get nothing now. If it was the same prices in the U.S., your margin would have been lower. Yes, but you would have made the sale. You fucking moron.
I know. Well, the book I did buy from one Canadian was Daring Grind. Anyway, he does the. I forgot what his podcast is. Good guy, really good guy. I highly recommend. But yeah, he I bought his Native American book or whatever, talking about the acts, Native American acts and stuff up in Canada. I was like, holy crap! It didn't realize it was this bad.
Probably lies. Most of that shit is lies.
Well, a lot of it is no. He has a lot of it documented. And it was like he certainly like, oh crap. Well, the U.S. did the same thing. We just always thought the Canadians were. I'll be fair. That everything that we ever thought of Canadians until the last 10 years was you were kind, polite, had a great sense of humor. You were like the better version of Americans. And now
I hate to tell you, but a pile of dog crap.
I didn't say that. All I said is that's what we grew up believing. And now that
No, Jess, you really shouldn't talk about your own country like that.
No. The like it's better than it's being insulting to Americans. It's a global tradition.
I know.
You've
Hey, what's
earned
up, Prime?
No. Elves. The problem with elves is that they're in a, they're in a demographic spiral of death. That's the problem with them. They just don't know how to. They just don't know how to please the women. That's why there's so many half elves.
Why does it have to be always the case? Why can't they be on the rise?
In
because
my
they can't get it up.
world,
Otherwise, they're like the pandas. They're like the pandas
in my fantasy world. In my fantasy world, elves have a birth rate of 50-1 female. That's why they have such a low. The guys are just always getting it on.
Yeah. The reason in my elves are very different. They have not so much low birth rate. They have low child rates because they are neo Nazis.
Oh,
If a child has so
that
much
makes no
as a
sense.
That's not neo Nazis. That's basically what humans did for like thousands of years. Go look at the Greeks and how they're
well, I
supposed to
thought
kill.
neo-Nazi was the seek of perfection, and anything else is not.
No, that's
That's
American
eugenics,
propaganda about
maybe, or
the
something
Okay,
war.
well,
akin
at
to
Like,
any rate,
that.
it
my
doesn't
elves,
even
there's
make
even so much as a
sense.
birthmark on the child, it goes in the fire.
That's retarded.
Mhm.
There were many countries
Like
that did that.
Spartans.
Germany wasn't one.
Yeah, my dad
Yeah.
said there were
Oh,
actually
no,
these
they just
that
wanted
there
to
were these
eliminate
caves
every
that
other
the
culture.
Spartans would put the sickly children.
That was 300.
Yeah.
Well, no, the Spartans were well known for doing that, and then but
Yeah,
actually the
no, it's
Greeks as
just
a whole
that
were well known for doing that. If you actually look at Oedipus, he was supposed to be thrown off, and he wasn't because of his deformed foot. There's a lot of different things that are going out there. It's like, well, we had pity on this child, so we saved him, and then he killed his father.
I I think that the test was like if the baby would drink wine, then it was strong enough. But that sounds weird.
Well, actually, I liked what Alexander Macris did with dwarves,
Right.
which
Right,
is that the female dwarves could only became fertile like once every 10 to 15 years, and then the women were only born like 1 out of 3. So it drastically reduced the number of women. And
Okay. I was giving the birth ratio. I'm exaggerating a little bit for my elves because we've always joked, at least Shadow has, that like there are only like there are no elf men. There are only elf women with penises or whatever.
I know the joke is, how can you tell a difference between a male elf and a female elf? The female's elf is dick is bigger.
is this like a hyena? Is that what you're doing with elves? No.
That'd be kind of cool.
And even the male elves are like only the byproduct of fraternal or paternal. What was the one where twins aren't the same?
Oh yeah, that's
Fraternal.
Yeah. So it's like even when the male elf comes along, he has a twin sister. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that Prime about. Is that in like the Deities and Demigods book?
So that makes the next question, Justin.
It's an excuse for harems to be normal in this world. Okay.
Well, that's what I was about to ask. It was are the men treated highly, or are they treated like shit? Are they slaves?
No. That's still patriarchal. There's just like women doing shit.
But the men aren't treated that badly. Okay.
Yeah.
You just
Yeah, I
have to
think-
remember this much: it's the elf men have like 1 sperm per 10 million. This is why half elves are so common. It's like they're trying to put as much as they can. Like I'm completely exhausted. I can't do it anymore.
No,
I still
I-
can't get one.
I like from fuck, I can't remember the story, but it's the one that humans and elves can't have children. I actually much prefer that.
I don't know. Shadow's read the first few pages of the story. I'm gonna put those
Yeah.
up.
I want to say that the whole elves and humans thing goes back all the way back to,
Tolkien.
mythology.
Oh, yeah.
At least
Changeling.
Tolkien.
Yeah.
Changelings at least.
yes.
Yeah. I mean, it goes back. Well, and Tolkien
And
like a lot of very mythological, basis.
Yeah,
for
yeah,
it.
exactly.
Well, Tolkien invented our modern concept of elves. So,
Yeah.
True, yeah.
like
He-
people,
He invented the modern concept of a lot of creatures.
yeah, but people complain about your unique flavor of elf, but Grandpa Tolkien's elf was his unique flavor of elf, and y'all love that.
I
Well,
think one of the
but
things that
even-
Tolkien was doing is a lot of the lore, like King Arthur for in British mythology at the time, was like a French thing. King Arthur's a French thing, and he was trying to get
it's-
something that was like old, Saxon and
he was
Angle, a
trying to
little
make
bit more
he was
Norse.
trying to make a new mythology for England.
Yeah,
Well,
because
well,
the
well,
Christians destroyed all of English mythology when they came to the island.
well, there's the other
Yeah.
part too, which is if you start looking at it, is because Tolkien did better translations of the King Arthur English version. Lancelot's what came in after, so there are two different versions. You can tell when you're like Sir Gawain in that group, which is at the beginning. That is the English version of King Arthur, and then it's supplanted by the Norman version, which is French. When you have once Lancelot comes into the picture.
Yeah,
And so most people pick those, but the Sir Gawain the Green Knight goes way back. Um,
Yeah.
so
Before
before they made him
Sean
Indian.
Connery. That was a cool movie, the Sean Connery
Yeah.
one.
which one? All I remember is Excalibur.
That's
It was kind of like that. There's a few years later,
That's the
in
one.
the 80s.
Are
It
you-
had Miles O'Keefe as Sir Gawain, and
Okay.
the Green Knight was Sean Connery.
What's that? Oh, well, there's that one. I remember watching one of them. There was the other one which I enjoyed, which was the. Oh, well, yeah, I haven't seen the new Green Knight version. I heard that was decent.
It was really well made. They just race swapped.
The Green Knight.
No, fucking what's his name?
Sir Gawain?
Sir Gawain. He's played by the guy from Slumdog Millionaire.
Oh.
The Green Knight.
The Green. That was a cool movie. Slumdog Millionaire. Like waiting in shit just to get an autograph. So,
Yeah, I guess you're right there. Prime.
Yeah, here I'll share the poster for the new one.
Transmulta.
Yep. Oh, that's your Sir Gawain.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, played by
He looks like he'd make an excellent vampire.
yeah.
That
Ah.
the one that doesn't get a lot of food, the one that has to live on the edge of society.
We need one of those Bollywood directors to do
Kind of
Sir
a
Gawain next.
crack addict vampire.
At first, I thought it was Prince Baron from Flash Gordon.
Oh yeah. hey, I
Oh,
like
that's
Dalton.
Prince
He
Baron.
just was the wrong. He just some things just he didn't do so well in.
Timothy
Well,
Dalton?
like-
Yeah.
Oh, I like Timothy Dalton. Did you especially when you watch him in Pink Fuzz?
In what?
In Pink Fuzz, where he plays the homeowner association president.
Oh.
Oh, you got the whole premise is that they have this cop who follows all the laws, does a great job and everything else, but he does too good of a job. So they send him in the middle of nowhere, and they're like, "This has had no crime in 20 years. And he's completely bored, and these people can't keep mysteriously dying." And they're like, "It's murder." They're like, "Oh no, that was just accidental." They're like, "A church steeple fell on him." He's like, "Yeah, we should really be looking into that, or." Person dies and they have their head lopped off and they're like, oh, well, she didn't learn to duck, going under this overpass. They're like, it's murder. But yeah, I highly recommend watching. If you saw Shaun of the Dead, it's the same guys that did Shaun of the Dead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I have
That
some
wasn't
interest
Hot
in that.
Fuzz. That was
No, you're right. It's Hot Fuzz. I was thinking Pink Fuzz, but yeah, you're right. Hot Fuzz.
He was good
But,
in Penny Dreadful. The first
Yes, I
couple
liked him in
seasons
Penny
was
Dreadful.
bad.
Yeah,
Then it became
that was a rough
Layman.
series.
the series, the movie, the other series. Like,
Oh, there's a
what
movie?
one? Yeah, there was a Penny Dreadful movie.
There was?
Whichever one had Billy Piper in it.
Yeah.
Penny
Yeah,
Dreadful.
like Frankenstein's
Yes, it
Bride
was-
or something.
Yeah, they had her as that. No, I liked the TV show, but it only went 3 seasons.
Yeah.
It was pretty grim.
First
Uh,
season was good. Second season got. Third was like, okay, I'm off.
Well, yeah, but like I said, I enjoyed it. But yeah, it's grim. But it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a gothic horror series.
Yeah.
If I expect it to be light and lovely, that would be completely different. It's like I went to Nosferatu and it was black and it wasn't in color. I'm like, yeah, it's a black and white film, except the new version. So
Yeah. Yeah, it had a lot of cool imagery. I like the opening credits. Like they had that, like that little teacup, China teacup with the blood in it and stuff, and it was really cool.
Well, I like Timothy Dalton also he did the other one, which was the Doom Patrol.
Oh yeah. Okay, we had HBO Prime for a little bit, and we watched some of that.
Yeah. But when they got rid of him as one of the major characters, he just disappeared. I'm just not that interested anymore. But I always liked him as a villain much better than a hero, or semi-anti-villain. I just thought they're doing Naked Gun, the remake now with I think it's what is his name I can't remember, but the Scottish actor. And it's like, really? How can you do it with him? Oh yeah, go look up. There's a new Naked Gun.
why?
That's an excellent question. I don't know. That's like remaking Airplane. Why would you ever remake Airplane?
You couldn't do it. You couldn't do. That would be like trying to redo Blazing Saddles. You can't do it because you have to cut the best shit out.
No, you don't have to cut anything out. Remember, Blazing Saddles was canceled the year it was produced, and they still did it.
Today, if you tried to do it, you canceled into oblivion.
Look for an excellent example. History of the World Part 2.
Oh.
Could you do the? Excuse me, I speak jive.
Well, you know what you could. Well, see, here's the thing: it's because it's politically incorrect. That's what makes it so funny. Every time I hear people like, "You couldn't do that," I'm like, "You couldn't do it back then either." They just did it.
I watched people that were born in the modern era, even teenagers from the modern era, a couple of videos that had watched Blazing Saddles now, and they're glad that the video exists because it is
There are
liberating compared to today's movies.
Yeah,
there are Jackie and I played Jackie one particular scene. He's
the
gonna
sex
get it.
scene.
No,
that one. Oh yeah, that one. Yeah,
where the sheriff threatens to shoot himself.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Split personality.
And Jackie was like, I want to see that.
That is a good scene.
Well, I mean, I was telling my son to go watch certain scenes from the Dave Chappelle show, and there's another one that they're like, well, that could never be done. Well, it couldn't be done then either. They just did it,
Yeah, but now you got to worry about people coming to your house.
You were worried about people coming to your house then. Remember, there was one lady that got shot in New York from some crazy guy, and she wasn't even anything controversial. She just had some weird stalker come to her. This whole idea is something new. It's not.
But you have to admit the odds are worse now.
Well, that's because we have 300 million people instead of 200. So it's a 50% greater chance of crazies. Well, this is why you live on a farm. That way, people just don't come.
People mysteriously disappear on a farm. It just usually isn't the family.
Exactly. That's how that.
And they don't eat that pig. That's the feeding pig, not the eating pig.
Wait a minute. Are we watching Snatch again?
Oh dear God! A couple of months ago, my mother and I had to go to a doctor's appointment in the town over. We took the back roads back because it's less traffic, and we seen easily a 250, 300, maybe even more pound fucking pig on the road.
They will blow up.
I didn't get out of the car. We stopped before we hit it. So
there was the Penny Dreadful from 2014 to 2016.
Okay,
which is the one that
that's the series with Timothy Dalton.
Yeah. And then there was a 2020 miniseries
Really?
Those 10 episodes, which is when she goes to like Los Angeles or something like that. It's a different
What?
actress.
Oh,
Yeah, because it's based on a series of books, right?
okay. Yeah,
That
yeah.
they,
Well,
they are they are a bunch of like young teen novels that those.
well, Penny Dreadfuls were the stuff. It's very similar to what we call the pulp. You know, it was the
No,
pulp
like
stuff of back in the day.
yes, but like
I thought they were more
someone.
akin to. I thought they were more akin to Tijuana,
They were what?
more akin to Tijuana Bibles.
Well, what it meant was is that they called them Penny Dreadfuls, I believe, in England, but
Right.
they were the same thing that we would call like our pulp fiction stuff, which
Yeah,
is
yeah, they were the 10-cent books or
Yep.
whatever.
yeah. You were meant to read them and toss them.
Yeah, and someone like took that name as the name for their character when they wrote the series, because
Okay, yeah.
like this is a trick when you're writing.
Is that an adult coloring book?
No, it's a how to draw book by a guy who does Tijuana Bibles.
Oh, okay.
Well, it
He
being
like-
black
he-
and
he
white,
likes
it kind
fat
of looks
girls.
like an adult coloring book given some of the positions
It
of the
could
character.
be. It would be fun to color this. Let me see.
Are we talking about metal hurlant, i.e., heavy metal?
I think this guy
Mm.
practices at like strip clubs or something.
Hey man, if
On the
I get
job
away
training,
with
man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm doing research.
Hey,
Here's a nice one.
one of,
Let's see.
I know Shadow doesn't like him, but I'll bring
little
him up
thick in the
bluntly.
thighs.
They're all are.
Squidmar minis. They will tell you if you're gonna like actually do sculpting with any sort of sculpting material. References that includes if you're gonna do muscles, because you could do two types of muscles. You can either take the time to sculpt them to look like real muscles, or you can just put lumps on there that looks like balloons on the arms. The balloons in the arms are much better for washes, but the real muscles are better for competition painting.
And I think there is also a movie for Penny Dreadful. But
Okay.
yeah, there's a thing, like especially if you're, like I mentioned it earlier, keywords. When you're publishing in the modern day, you want to lay in your title and your book description words that people can search for, right? So obviously, having a character name that you name your series after that is like a recognizable term that people might just type into a search bar randomly and get your books as part of something else without it seeming like you're manipulating the system.
Well, I mean, a lot of characters have now become, public access to. So, they're no longer the copyright. Frankenstein or what was it? Abraham Lincoln versus vampires.
Abraham Lincoln Vampire Slayer.
Yeah, which was the worst thing to happen to Abraham Lincoln in the theater.
You can make your own Buck Rogers story now, as long as you don't use characters from past the original launch. You want to do Popeye the Sailor Man? Just make sure you don't give him any spinach, and you're fine.
Hey, Popeye the Sailor Man just got his new horror movie.
What?
Well,
he the bad guy?
Public domain.
Yeah, as soon as they become public domain, there's this one group. They
Oh,
did
yeah.
Pooh, Blood, and Honey.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say that.
They did that one. They've done Popeye the Sailor Man, which now he's.
They've done another too. Fuck, I think they've done Mickey Mouse. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah. I forgot what he's called. It's not called.
Yeah, it's called something else.
It's not called Mickey Mouse. It's called something else. Yeah, it's like something Willie
he
or
didn't
something.
have a name when he was originally released.
Steamboat Willie.
Well, no, but I think. Yeah, I forgot what the movies were called though.
Steamboat Willie is something that was added later. That was a nickname given to him by the public.
Yeah, because it was a song. He just whistles in the movie.
Yeah, I think Zorro might be in the public domain now. At least some of it.
That's cool.
So,
Well, it's also like the original version. Uh, like I said, you could do a Popeye, but you can't have a meat spinach because that didn't come until later.
Mm.
So that's like a
So he could just be a drunken sailor
yeah.
getting into
He
fights
originally
with
had that's
bearded
like
men.
he had like
with some
some
sort of
weird
thyroid condition.
yeah. No, he had like some animal that gave him super strength or something like that. I don't know.
A weasel, I
Well, I
think.
mean, the
Yeah.
way he's drawn his arms,
Mm-hmm. Now the
It's lonely
like
on
or he's
he
boat.
related to Steve Garvey.
he was an ad like the comic wasn't originally about him. He was added to the existing uh what was it was like the Bean family or what was the girl and
Olive oil.
olive oil. So yeah, it was the oils or something like that. They're all like all of them are named after
Castor
different types
oil.
of oil.
Yeah.
Yeah, castor oil, things like that.
So let's
Pete
see. We've got
Gonzalez.
let's see.
Yeah.
We've got the Mousetrap. We've got I Heart Willie. We've got what is it? Pooh Blood and Honey. You've got. I'll have to look at the other ones.
Ooh.
Oh, from that company.
Can you imagine what they'll do when they kind of actually get their hands on Speedy Gonzalez? That would be or Sonic the Hedgehog. Those will be scary fucking movies.
That'll be a while.
Yeah.
That's too bad.
Well, they've got the Wile E. Coyote.
It's 70
versus
years
Acme.
and
That's coming out in the theaters now.
Ooh.
yeah. It's no. They actually got that because that was a made Warner Brothers film. And
They've
they
agreed
shelved
to release it in the theaters now.
Okay, yeah,
That's supposed to happen this year. So
like because I could see the courts going, no, it's tax fraud if you're like making movies, then deliberately not screening them to call them as write-offs. I would do that in a fucking
they
heartbeat.
did it with the Batwoman movie. Or
Oh no, that was both at the same time they did that.
Yeah.
And that was a controversy for a while. It's like you literally made films specifically so you could use them as like you should see some of the ridiculous things they do in Hollywood accounting.
Oh,
You
I know.
like,
I've heard, yeah.
They did the
you
same
know.
thing with comic books back in the 40s and 50s too. There were a couple of comic book companies. I think EC Comics. It was basically just a tax write-off.
No, like we have these like they'll do things like you we'll give you a better deal if you take a percentage of the movie's earnings, actor,
Yeah,
director, producer,
profits.
profit sharing. But then what they'll do is they'll deliberately jack up prices for things during production. So instead of the production buying a camera for $250,000, they'll rent the camera for $4 million from a subsidiary of the production company.
Yeah, exactly. They, and then they'll say the movie lost money. It's the way that they do it is, the way that Justin's talking about is exactly what they do. They have all their subsidiaries come in, so like the catering might be owned by the same company. It's all this, and then they'll charge it over and say, "Well, look, we lost $200 million in this movie."
And that bill is only on paper. It doesn't actually exist because it's like it's coming from my right pocket and going into my left one, just so I don't have to pay you.
Well, yeah, he doesn't pay you, but because it's going the same, they're keeping it in house. They can go, look, we made so much money last year because all their subsidiaries, but that one.
Well, saying the movie lost money because it didn't actually meet the cost it spent out to all these other companies, which are subsidiaries. It's like I could have gone to IKEA and bought this $5 trash bin, but instead I rented it from the props department owned by the company for $300 or $400.
Oh yeah, and they might charge you by the day or whatever, and so and so they're like, oh, you didn't get anything. This is why they talk about you want it for earnings, not for profit, and that's where they've got into a lot of lawsuits.
Yeah, it's Hollywood accounting, and that's spread to publishing as well. So in mainstream publishing. Like I was just watching an interview with Brandon Sanderson, and he's like, "Yeah, we got some of that profit sharing shenanigans. I managed to get it cut out of my contract, but like if you don't know and you get this contract, it's just hot garbage. Um,
Well,
like
did
it's
he
just
take those?
outright criminal.
Yeah.
It should be classified as criminal fraud, and
Yeah.
the company should be seized. Like if you had a government that was actually governing instead of, you know,
Hey,
doing whatever it's doing in the Middle East or this week, or you know, propping up fake wars in Eastern Europe so it can destabilize whoever. Because that had
hey,
very little to do with Russia.
oh no, no,
You
well, it
know,
doesn't matter. The whole USAID thing, where they're like, "Hey, what we're doing is we're giving it to all of these activist organizations to do
and
stuff." We
that no,
said,
bro, that like you read that off some website. No, it's bullshit. A lot of that is actual fucking made up crap. When you go look into the sources, it's like we got US from where and from who. You just said that you linked to nothing.
I am telling you, having worked for government, I see exactly where a lot of this stuff goes for contracts, and the
No,
contracts
but
go from the contractor, and then they go and spend it as lobbying for the Congress so they can keep getting these. They do it for almost all the businesses. This is why, whether it's Raytheon at the large level, the small level, that all goes on.
All right. Well, to get away from this
Yeah.
topic, I know Justin would have seen it, but Shadow, I also sent you a link to the same soundboard Janet uses.
Oh, okay.
She sent me a link on eBay, and I'm
yeah,
passing it
that's
back on.
the 8-button Elgato one. It's like $300. So
Yeah,
I'm
well,
looking
you can
for a
look from there.
cheaper
You
option.
literally on Amazon, at least American Amazon, you can literally just spread out from there. It's like here's this, and then just oh look, here's a whole bunch more different versions of this.
There's no
Yeah,
like virtual soundboard that you can just use an app.
Yeah, that's what
Uh,
I was thinking. It's like,
You
I
have
want
first
one,
you have
but
to
it's
find the right app, and then you have to be compatible with your computer. Trust me, finding
they're
apps for
usually
that is a pain in the
compatible.
ass.
I also want a physical one. I'd like just a second
I,
fucking
plus,
keyboard.
I've heard from my friend Janet who tried. Apparently, both the physical one sounds better even through speakers, or even through a microphone.
Uh-huh.
Well, it doesn't pump through your
yeah,
microphone.
a couple of people I
Okay.
watched,
Okay. Yeah. Never
a
mind.
couple of YouTubers I watched, they have their tablet on a separate stand, and they can just hit, a button on, or an image on their tablet, and
I just
it
presumed
plays
it
the
went
sound
through
that
the
they want,
microphone.
or the video, or excuse me, audio clip that they want. And I don't know how
Yeah.
they drag the audio
Oh well.
clips.
If you want, you could talk to Janet about that. She did it. She put "Death by Snoo Snoo" on her soundboard.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. The Elgato setup is like if you're producing if you're making money doing this, get into it.
No,
But like I haven't started, and I don't think Shadow's gotten
well,
monetized
Janet.
yet.
I wouldn't call Janet rich, but she's definitely not hurting for money either.
Yeah. Well, Shadow wouldn't be either if he stopped buying miniatures for more than 20 seconds.
Hey, well, then again, I'm doing the payment, so it's not costing me that much in one sitting. It's like $65 a month because I added a little extra because I wanted the extra decorations from my big ship.
For that port
Oh
one,
yeah, I
that looks
looked
like
at
a
that.
nice ship. It does. That
Oh,
really
oh,
does
oh,
look like a nice
I'm
ship.
already in love. Even though most of the characters are not useful to me for my Skies game in a direct sense, I can still paint them up and go, well, just pretend they're all weird humans because I'm going to be going through and adding more things that can potentially have odd humans.
Yeah,
Because
I've decided
I
that.
stole. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was interrupting you.
No. I stole the devil fruits from One Piece and call them sun fruits. And I only have like 25. No, I have like less than that. But I really need to add like at least 100 to the book to begin with. So there's a nice
100 what?
variety. Like I know that
100
some
what?
people are like, oh, that's extreme. If you actually go to the devil fruit, the devil fruit index on fandom, which this is compatible with, there's close to 1,000 fruits.
Of course, there's.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not inserting the joke I was thinking. With that Kickstarter, I've already decided I'm going to stop clipping out the really tiny scatter terrain Because what's the fucking point? I'm never going to use it until I get
Well,
the shop. I
like,
mean, there's literally things like it's
Well,
like cups and
those
saucers and plates
you're
and shit
supposed to
like that.
glue that down to
to the
something.
tables.
Some of it yes, some of it no. There's some things that are just like
Well, yeah, but ultimately
Like
that's more
like the
for
sword, you
flavor.
glue it on someone's belt to make it look.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna bring this much: is if you can get those little tiny neodymium magnets and N52.
Oh yeah, I have.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I can actually
Yeah.
go through my history and recommend a good set of the ones that are just smaller. Good for
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like that.
I've actually got some still left over. Over here
They make them
somewhere.
half millimeter wide.
Uh huh.
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I I
Those
bought
ones
some
I
that are
have.
super. I think it was like I'm not sure if it was half millimeter because those are so small. It's hard to nail
No,
down. But I definitely got. I'll have to
They're
go look. I got them from
like
KJ.
a rice grain thick.
Yeah, yeah. No, I had
Yeah,
some of those.
No,
that's
the
I
ones
got
I have
I
are
got
even
magnets like
smaller than
that.
that. They're
Yeah, I got
like
them for N52s. Yeah, and those were really strong, and those work out really well. And you can paint right over them too.
Yeah. So sorry. Go ahead.
I showed Shadow this video a long time ago. There was a guy I follow, sadly he doesn't do a lot, who took iron filings and mixed it in with some paint and put it down on a board. And instead of basing his models, he put those small magnets in
Uh huh.
the feet, so it would stand on the ground
Wow.
without the separation.
I wonder how much metal filings you have to have percentage wise, let alone.
I think he used like a quarter to, but like mixed in with the paint and then like dry brushed over. It looked like
Okay.
ground.
I could see that. I could see that working for floors where they're quote
Well,
uneven or something.
Well, he coated the entire thing, but the rough ground, like rough dirt, then a staircase, it all worked.
Yeah. No, I mean, that
Hey,
sounds really cool.
probably have
You're
to
not
watch the
you're
video
not
to really
having
understand.
characters. Not he just did like a square this big to demonstrate the concept.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you're not having characters standing on walls or whatever, so you don't need to cover every surface. I'll see if I can find the video and send it to you, crafting.
Okay. Yeah, I like learning the tricks. Like through Justin, through Justin talking about using cornstarch. It's like, well, might as well try it, and that's when I discovered you could use cornstarch and what is this called again? Gorilla Clear, Gorilla Glue, or just clear Gorilla Glue. Sorry, that stuff. If you mix that to a nice ratio between cornstarch and I use medicated foot powder because it's already. I know it's not going to have anything in it. But you mix it to a nice ratio. It gets to a putty consistency. It really does, and it's really nice for laying down for in my case, it's on the bottom of a couple of dioramas I made as in one diorama it's a sandbar, on the other diorama it's the bottom of the sea. But if you then take you can actually take a silicone tool. If you wet it down, you can then lay it down flat, and it looks identical to a wet sand.
That's
Even when dry, it looks identical to wet sand. It's
that's
absolutely amazing.
Cool.
No, I thought that Off Grid was recovering from a previous bug. Man, it sucks that he got something else hitting him.
Hey, Off Grid.
Off Grid, bro. See you on the weekend. Latest.
Yeah, I can't believe it's almost here already.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, I actually have some stuff I wanted to get done before the weekend, but I don't think I'm going to. I keep trying to make a Magic the Gathering video that keeps not working out.
With the with the magnetic thing you were saying earlier, can you imagine they have a lot of filaments that have metal in
it's
them?
been a long day.
Oh yeah, you have to be careful with filaments with metal. You need a nice hard tip on your 3D printer.
Yeah.
They'll destroy a copper tip in no time flat.
Yeah, but I will share it, but not play the video.
Yeah, this is
no use watching it. But we can see the thumbnail if Shadow wants to look at it.
Yeah, I'll check this out later.
It's a miniature of Shadow.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Sorry.
Yeah,
well, that was Shadow before he took on his new identity.
Yeah.
That was never. I've never looked like that.
And that's not like he's not glued down, right?
Mhm.
The character is not glued down. He's just, and like you see how the iron filing looked in the, I think it was
Mhm.
craft paint or whatever.
Yeah, it's got
So
a nice texture to it.
yeah, it's just the crap from
I
the
wonder if
dollar
copper
store.
filings would work because I got a big old
No,
sheet of
no, not
copper.
copper, not copper.
Oh, right, because they don't out magnetic. Okay. Well, I meant
Yeah,
for the texture,
Chris.
Yeah,
not so much the magnetic part. I was referring to
but
texture at that point. I think it's
I
a
think you
steel sheet
can
maybe.
get like a pound of iron filings from Amazon for like $10 or whatever.
Yeah.
I remember.
All right.
Or spend 6 at Home Depot and get a black iron pipe and a
belt sander.
file
Yeah.
and just
You can even get some from
put
just
a hood on
sand.
it.
I've done that where you just
Oh,
take a
man.
magnet, put it through some play sand that we have, and we just get all these little black flecks of.
Yeah.
I actually, it wasn't bad
Yeah,
enough
but
it
then
caused permanent damage. I took the tip of my thumb off with a belt sander, with a disc sander once.
yeah, not cool. Be
Yeah.
careful, man. Those things are dangerous.
Yeah, I know. The worst part, what I think is actually the most hilarious part. Bad thing is I turned away, but next thing I know, it feels like, why is my thumb being tickled? It didn't hurt at all.
Yeah.
See, that isn't the first time that's happened. I actually ended up chirping one time and got a stick stuck in my leg, and I walked into my grandmother's house with a stick in my leg, and I didn't even know because it didn't hurt. Of course, that one actually has a good, valid reason. I almost completely severed the nerve in my leg, so my right leg has less feeling than my left. Anybody wants to fight me? There's a thing right there. Don't kick me in the right leg.
Oh no, bro. I'm doing that first. Well, second. First, I'm gonna kick you in the nuts. Then
No,
when
that's
you're
fair.
like this, I'm gonna hit you in the leg. And then when you're like, I'm gonna uppercut you to the jaw. And then I'm gonna take my classic ball stance because I wouldn't be a true son of the internet if I didn't teabag you in victory.
Yep. I knew where that was going.
Yeah. And then, as a person who plays Conan, I'm going to take a male dancer out of my inventory and put him over you. So when you wake up, I don't have to be there while you're getting some guy doing this.
I actually sent you a picture a while back that I was trying to get you to put Hungar's face on 5 women with an orc in front of them.
I couldn't do it. No, I wouldn't do it anyway. I'm too lazy. You try and get ChatGPT to do that for you.
Well,
don't give him the one
better.
from the internet because it
Yeah,
will say no, I can't do that.
Yeah, I got
I tried the other day.
yeah, I'm looking at what is that? What is that one? Because it's actually like $8 a month, and I'm far more fluent with it than I am for ChatGPT for making images. Indogram, that's what it is.
No, trust me. You can sign up for ChatGPT for free, and their new image generator will let you do 3 images a day for free.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and you've seen the
Yeah, with that picture I accidentally made, I thought that was just a fluke. I didn't realize they actually changed their policy. So last I knew you had to pay for images. Period.
yeah.
Well, we'll see then. I'm still looking at the idea of buying one or two, not one or two, just buying into one, because with the God War game, I want to
I
put
think
all
it's-
kinds of art for the stuff I'm doing. Like,
I think it's like $24 American a month for ChatGPT.
geez, I could go to Instagram and get that for $8.
It's cheaper than Midjourney.
Yeah, and not the quality. No, the quality is much better for the new art generator on.
Yeah. Oh, I'm just saying it's
Well,
cheaper than Midjourney.
how about this? I can't
saying
afford to do it this
cheaper
month
quality.
anyway. I'll play with ChatGPT some more. I'll play with
The
Instagram some
free
more.
version, yeah.
And I'll decide then if it's actually worth paying the extra. Because I will admit right now, I will pay money for convenience and intuity. Being intuitive. There we go.
Well, yeah, besides valuing my time, worth more than what the actual cost is at a certain point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because I Google, I can kind of use Google Docs, but I'd rather pay for Microsoft Word because it is so much easier for me to
Now,
use.
I will show you later, not tonight. There is a way to get that plugin to work on Google Docs as well. It's just a little more finicky.
Okay.
And if it's only the listening back, and then I'll
Yeah.
also show you how to set up the speech to text on your PC.
Okay. So it can do more
So
than just internet stuff.
so you just talk to your computer and
Oh,
get it to
okay.
write on everything that you can write in.
Ah. Well, that's not the only reason I use in the Microsoft Word. It's I I can find the controls for Microsoft Word with ease. I cannot find them in Google Docs to save my fucking life, or my sister's,
You, you,
or
you'll
my cousins,
you'll
or
get
my
used to
parents.
it. You'll get used to it. I'm sharing that X Files image again with you, Shadows.
Okay.
So Crafting can see this. I generated this in the new image
Hey,
generator for.
the two, the undead and the ratkin I put in the rants is actually from Indogram.
This
So
is from ChatGPT.
Oh. Is that for your
like
This
new
I
is
said,
Nancy
I'm
Drew
I'm I'm
fanfic?
gonna play with. I actually ended up with. Apparently, they let
yeah.
my generations stack on top of each other in Indogram because I got 20 of them. So, and ChatGPT gives me 3 a day. Indogram gives me 10 a week. So I could definitely get more out of ChatGPT, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
$30 a month
I'm
is
getting about
so I really have to play with it
15
before
or
I make a decision.
no, excuse me. Uh,
But
I'm
you're
getting
not
about
getting
'Fuck
anything.
40.
Night Can't Fae.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Fuck
Fuck
it.
that. Yeah,
I
yeah.
tried. I did 6, no, more like 10 different things to get points. Not a single fucking point from any of it. And I
Really?
can't go back to retry because I already did it. But I didn't get shit for it. So it's like, fuck that
Yeah.
program.
Well, I mean, right now, all I'm getting them for is liking 25
I did
images.
that. I liked 100 pictures. I still got nothing.
Really?
Mm.
Oh,
And
so
it's not that good, man, compared to what I
It
just
depends on
showed
what you're
you.
trying to shoot
I
for.
because I didn't get any points, I didn't get enough time to play with it to find out how good it was. So
Okay, that's really weird. Maybe it's
And
uh,
honestly, that was literally give me an X Files inspired picture with Pamela Anderson as Scully, and it
yeah.
gave me that first try.
not Gillian Anderson?
Well, she played Scully.
Uh,
Yeah, as Pamela Anderson instead of
Gillian Anderson.
Gillian Anderson.
anybody named Anderson. Mr. Anderson.
I wouldn't mind Anderson and Anderson.
I'm sorry, I'm just getting tired.
Yeah, it's been a
But
long day.
from 1993, not 2023.
Oh, sh-
Right.
Just that.
Matrix Anderson.
the guy in drag?
No,
No.
the agent. I know his name wasn't Anderson. That was
No.
He,
Well,
that was
no,
Neo's
no,
name.
but
the main
yeah,
character was
that
Anderson.
was Neo
Neo.
was Mr. Anderson.
Yeah.
But no, what I'm referring to is that the movie he did before that, he was doing a drag queen.
We'll see.
Oh,
I have a quick question.
Yeah, he was. It
Are
was an Australian film with
are your gnomes in the
Oh
God War
yeah.
underground gnomes, or are they up above ground gnomes?
Was it To Wong
they're
Fu?
like they're
Whatever you want,
basically
gnomes.
like hill hobbit. You know,
Okay.
they live in mushrooms or hills.
Okay. Well, no one's come up with a gnome picture for your book yet. And no, that's the reason why I did the Ratkin and the Undead, because no one had done pictures for them yet either.
No, George did. I
Rat.
just haven't posted them.
Did what?
I just haven't
Them.
transferred. I haven't transferred them to the art file.
Given what you said earlier, you're welcome to both pictures I put up. I'll be putting up more pictures later.
Okay. Yeah,
I really like the Ratkin just looking there like with 2 attack rats, but it's like super casual. Everything's like just an average day. That's obviously the one I put in Discord. It's just
Yeah,
nonchalant.
I've written about 10 pages of the spells, and there's like not a
Nice.
single piece of art in the last part that I've been writing, and I need to go back over. But
Well,
I want to focus on
maybe
the
I'll read a
art.
few spells to see if I can make some art for spells because I really need to practice with these AI arts because my very first version of any of the books I put out there will pretty much be AI art. Real art will probably be put in later when I have money, or I still haven't 100% decided yet. I'll reach out to artists really early and start getting pictures made up and wait to do a Kickstarter until after I have the pictures made. The problem with that is I could finish the book long before I get all the art.
Yeah, well, that's just a given.
So I haven't decided which route I want to go yet.
Save your money.
Yeah, here's the thing. If it fails because you're not paying for the art, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
Then
but
fuck 'em.
I mean, Chat GPT I think has gotten
And I
better
can
with.
mitigate some of that by saying that the Kickstarter is going to go towards making art for the books because that would be 100% true if I do it that way. I don't have anything against AI art,
Yeah. What the fuck did you just?
but until
Oh,
the AI
sorry.
art is as good as humans, which it is not yet, it will be one day. I still want the human touch.
I dare someone to make images that like George's made for this.
Oh dear God, George's is a font with AI art.
Well. Here's the thing: is George's still look like AI art. The thing
Well,
is
that's
that
fair, but
for,
it's so good you don't care.
well, the point is that you can produce it quickly enough that that's really the what goes on. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah,
you know,
I dare an
yeah.
artist to offer me a picture like that for
Well,
for
there
let's
are
say,
artists that can do it, but they would charge out the nose for most because some of those pictures are super detailed or intricate.
yeah, and it's not going to happen,
Uh-huh.
and I'm not going to pay that kind of money.
Yeah,
Uh,
because I've seen what Bear is going through with artists. That's why it's like I said, if I was going to do it the real artist way, I would start reaching out like basically here soon within the next
so
couple of
so
years. Because
so so the,
my book is years out, admittedly.
it
Well, my game book. Sorry.
it is not unique to Bear. I've listened to Alexander
Oh yeah,
Matthews,
but Bear's the most
and wait a minute,
open about it
wait a minute.
that I've seen.
He
That I've
has
seen.
he has it, and here's the problem that you have with most artists
Yeah.
is a lot of them. Well, it's not most artists. Here's the problem with the artists that want to do a lot of stuff is they're not reliable. They don't follow instructions.
Yep.
Whereas when you look at the commercial artists, we're talking the ones like whether you like it or not is still Frank Frazetta to me is better for doing a lot of his stuff, even though I might have complaints about some of it technically. But the inspiration is him and Boris Vallejo were trained to do things fast and quick, and they had a deadline and everything else, and they treat it like a job. The problem is that people are treating it more like a hobby and then complaining when no one wants to hire them. Like, no, you got to
Yeah.
put in
You
your
know,
40 to 60 hours a week of doing your art, and you have to be reliable, and you have to work, and you have to do it like a commission. It's
Well,
just like what happened during the Middle
well,
Ages.
yeah.
it's not just that you've got to like be creating things that are generally in the tenor of what you're selling, so you can also like have a catalog of someone came to me and said I need a wizard, and I'm like, do you care what the wizard looks like? And they go no, and I show them this picture. I've got this one already for $700. It's good to go right the fuck now. uh
Well, there's that, but what I'm saying, but a lot of times for
which
commissions, we're talking
Frank
about for
Rosetta did a
commissions
lot
here.
as well.
Yeah, but a lot of it's for commissions because you can just say you can do that like for clip art and other stuff. You can sell that stuff off and say, "Hey, here's a stock photo. You can use it for what you want in your game, and it'll cost you whatever it is." But that's allowed for anybody. You can do that off of drive-through right now. Um, but a lot of it is when you're talking about commissioned artwork. Number one is these people are so anti AI art. I'm like, look, and Bear talked about this. You can do AI art. One is to communicate what you would like to see, and then the artist can come back and say, "Is this kind of what you would like?" And I will do my own touches to it after that, and do all the touch ups. And and the problem is that
Yeah.
people are not using it as a tool. They're
And,
they're completely fighting against it.
and I'm sorry, with that picture I showed a little bit ago, if
Yeah,
I'm writing a book cover, like if I have a novel that's a X-Files knockoff, That's ready to go. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. That's better than 90% of. That's better than fucking Frank Frazetta.
Hey,
Right? I'm just telling you that
Yeah.
he was pretty good, but that's
It's a different, but that's a different thing. Is if I want to do something that's going to be, oh look, I'm going to write a romance novel, then yeah, you're absolutely right. Where they don't really care so much. But I'm saying, but there's,
no. I'm talking like I could do mainline. Here, let me. I showed this to
Hey,
Shadow on my show yesterday.
you guys know when you come up with a really awesome recipe, you share it with a friend, and he wins a cooking contest with it. That's what George
No.
just did to me.
Oh,
Have you seen what he put in there? It's like, good God.
yeah.
What did he put?
Better than what I did.
Restaurants.
Where
his
did he
final-
put it?
His
Reckless.
Reckless Red.
his last picture, I actually liked my ratkin better, but the two other pictures, it's like, dude, I just said I was going to do that. Well, not the
I-
sexy
I
ratkin,
sent-
but that is still
Most of them I
like,
was just
by
sending
comparison,
to.
better than mine.
I'd send most of the stuff I send directly to like Shadow. So I didn't know if we wanted to keep them like close to the chest.
That's fair.
now the only other thing though is with AIR.
Oh, I've
They've-
seen
right now they've determined that it's not copyrightable. So
It depends on where you are, and specifically if it's like it's copyrightable here in Canada.
but it's not in the
certain-
U.S. Though,
Certain
so.
sites,
And-
if you don't pay for the pro or whatever, and it's public, you can't actually use it in stuff you're going to sell. Like at some point, like the pictures I use, they're technically free, so Shadow can't use it if he wants to sell God Wars, but he can use it for these, for for us just farting around, basically.
like once again, just
Maximize that.
And that's
for
actually pretty good.
assertion. Right, like just
You don't have to keep trying to convince me, Justin, or us. I will certainly play with it before I make any final decisions.
no, it's not you. It's like that's like if I want to write a book about those two characters,
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
I could throw that on the cover,
Oh, yeah.
no problems for
Yeah.
a fantasy, like a mainstream fantasy novel.
Yeah.
Can you write a
It's
book about
actually
the-
better than what?
Can you write a book about the characters I just posted?
Well, I mean, what you just
Imagine.
showed, all that really, at the end of the day,
Yeah,
is,
Justin,
doesn't
you
matter
were
whether
forced to
it's-
use the sexy ratkin.
it doesn't matter whether it's copyrightable or not. Is
Yeah.
a lot of it's, I mean, compared to what we saw in the first edition Monster Manual with the beholder that looked like it was the pipe cleaners with a styrofoam ball. I mean, come on, we've
Well,
been
it's
used to
not
like
far off from
bad
the
art for
truth,
decades.
technically, because that's what they really do look like.
Well, that's the thing. After about 2010, most of the fantasy and science fiction genre has gone over to like clip art on covers. They don't really do painted work anymore. It's all
no.
like
Well, the problem that I have with it now is I see like more and more D&D is going more towards that cute little anime stuff, which is not, I want the Larry Elmore style.
it's cheaper to produce, and that's why they use it.
It's also depends on the audience, which has gone more towards that anime style stuff for a lot of it, and I think that's part of it too. It's like, okay, that's kind of the demographic you're aiming for, but it's not any artwork I go like, oh yeah, I'm going to buy that, in 50 years or something. That's none of that. Where I was like, this is iconic.
I'm a 50-50. Artwork isn't going to necessarily sell me or turn me off, but if it is really, really bad artwork, I'm going to be less likely to actually start reading it.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's the point, right? Like 90% of anything is sold by the front cover. It's why don't judge a book by its cover is a thing, because
I try not to, but admittedly, I can be a little
They
judgmental.
can put a $3,000 oil painting on the cover of a crappy novel.
Well, even like great novels. I was watching a podcast. I can watch a podcast. Fuck, what's it called? Science fiction writers or military sci-fi writers or something like that. If you want the link, I'll put it in my chat later. Don't worry about it. It's for contemporary military sci-fi authors. They talk about writing, and their last one they're talking about like novels, and Starship Troopers came up, and it's like the guy pulls the book cover out and shows it, and it's like, yeah, at no time does any of the characters wear armor like that. And then they talk about Armor, the book, which is like the better version of Starship Troopers. It's like at no time does the character take his helmet off for you to see his face in the whole book. It's like both of these main books in the genre have covers that are just not what happens in the books.
The same thing happened in comic books.
Yeah.
The cover would be something drastically different to get you to buy the comic book. Then you read it, and that never happened.
Well, it's like I said. In this case, it's like I said earlier about like they painted it earlier, and you had the option to buy it. A lot of publishing houses would buy art from an artist in bulk, so they'd be like,
Yeah.
we'll buy 50 pieces from you, hit these genres, and then when they got a book that came through, they would
slap-
slap whatever
Like
was
all
closest.
the Terran Trade Federation books, they're all pulled from that exact stuff.
Yeah.
Those random pieces of art that would end up on it, like this one right here for Berserker.
Yeah.
It barely has anything to do with what's going on.
Yeah, it's got a spaceship and some star stuff in the back, and they probably went to that artist. So that was probably Boris Karloff, because Boris.
Vallejo?
Yeah,
Well,
no, it was
No,
actually.
no.
Let's find out.
Because when Grammaticus Books talked about the book,
It is actually Boris
it's the
Vallejo.
Boris, yeah, like I said, because he mentioned that, and like they probably just said, make us 10 space whatevers and 10 barbarian whatevers, and we'll pay you $8,000.
Yes.
And then they just put them on a shelf somewhere until books came in that were vaguely that topic.
Well, here's the other
Yep.
part too with
Yeah,
Boris Vallejo. When he did a lot of stuff because he trained to do stuff for like supermarkets, they gave him like, I need this within a week or stuff like that. And that's something that when we're talking about artists, they don't understand do time management. They don't have, a lot of people are not getting their basic skills. And yet when you look at the artists who are successful, they've got their time management skills down. They've got they know how to communicate. They know how to go back and forth. They know how to do commissioned work. Like, this was something Alexander Mackers complained about. The guy said he wanted this guy in a golden armor with a spear. And the guy said, well, you know what? I didn't really like that, so I made it bronze armor, and I gave him a sword. He's like, it's a commissioned work. You have to do what the person asked for, not what you want to draw. And those are the problems that he complains about a lot for that.
Like, you turn to the guy and say, okay, now take that bronze armor into your fucking goddamn art software, because you drew it digitally. Very rarely do they paint anymore. And take the hue tone and turn it the fuck up, or you're not getting your goddamn paycheck.
Oh no, a lot of artists, and Bear has made this out more than once. They want to be paid first.
Oh yeah.
No.
Bear actually lost money because of that.
Well,
That's why you have codicils, like a quarter up front for you to start, a quarter when I see that you're doing what I asked, a quarter when it's near completion, and the rest on delivery. Or maybe third, or half. It doesn't matter. But you do not pay in full for anything that is.
I think the biggest problem is the human element of the personalities that do this for a living.
It's trained, because it's not how it used to be.
Well, to be fair, that
Right.
very few
Well,
artists actually could make it. To be fair on this, that's
Like
Right.
the term "starving artist," even though it's a cliche, is still actually a real term. It's just the fact that most of them are starving because they're, I can do what I want and fuck you. I paid you $1,000 for this. I'm the artist. I know better. Fuck you.
Well, like I said, this is the difference between a true professional and what a lot of people want to be. Is they want to be paid for work. It's like, great, What's the commission work? What are you doing for? And I know it goes back and forth, but you have to figure out what the actual. And again, once you find a reliable artist, guess who you're going to keep going back to? I'm going to keep going back to the person over and over again,
Yep.
and then you have the problem which they say, "Hey, look, I can't take any more commissions. I'm full. I'm done. You have to go push that off to someone else." Like, oh, great. Now who do I go to?
Or maybe you get super famous and successful like Brandon Sanderson, and you just say fuck it and hire the person to be your in-house artist.
Well, I mean, that's what Ed Greenwood, not Ed Greenwood, Larry Elmore. That's what that was his full-time job. And
Yeah. Brandon Sanderson literally hired hired someone out of the Rick and Morty. Like he took one of their artists because he commissioned them for something. And they had that Kickstarter, and he just called them up and was, do you want to be full-time staff?
Well, I mean, but that's what they used to do in the Middle Ages. You got a patron. That's why you find all this, and you dip. But it's one of those things that people don't look at it as a job. And when you don't look at it as a job,
it's like for like a month or two, and then you had another.
Don't worry, George. We're going to end it in just a couple minutes.
Party on, George.
So, yeah. But I mean, but all of that just comes down to getting people in there. But when you get, and I hate saying this, a lot of artists do have the psychological issues.
It's trained into them through modern education systems.
I'm going to say this much: is there's a lot of famous artists had psychological issues. They were bipolar and stuff like that. A lot of them did have stuff like that. You're like, okay, that's and that's the kind of personalities you're dealing with. Of course, it's like writing in certain cases. It's just that's what separates you from being good and great. But if you're just going to do it as just like I was listening to what Ethan Van Sciver talking about with comic book artist, you could either be the guy that does the front covers, or you could be the guy that does like the ink work and everything inside. And one of them paid a lot of money, but you didn't get that much work. Or the other one was it was a steady paycheck every month. And he says, "Well, I'll do the steady paycheck every month."
I'll take the steady paycheck. It's like I haven't done it yet, but I've been thinking about opening up a Fiverr account for custom jobs or custom paint jobs for miniatures. But I haven't pulled the trigger on that because I want to get better at doing certain things, like not finding ways of blending things together. Because I'm currently still at the stage where it's the highlights that are kind of harsh. So I got to figure out how to start working with that a little bit better, so they're not as harsh. Once I can figure out how to do that properly, I want to see about getting commissions. But something I told myself right off the bat: there'll be commissions I do not want. I do not, unless somebody says, "Oh, plus you get to do a little something extra, whatever you want." I'm going to have to paint those, like it or not.
Well, here's the other point too: is certain artists can't do certain things, and you have to know your limitations. And you say, "Hey, look,
exactly.
Life, field, and feet."
Well, I'm talking about, like, I heard one of them. He does robots really well, but he can't do faces. It's like, hey, you have to. One is you have to know what your artist can do, and then number two is the artist also needs to be able to turn down work. He says, "I can't do this to the quality you want." I mean, that's fair.
Yeah, well, Adam Savage actually talks about that in an excellent little story, short little story. He built a bunch of shelving, and he built it his way.
Yeah.
And when it was done, it didn't look bad. Someone with money came by and said, "Hey, can you build me shelves like that?" Adam says, like, "No." Guy asked, "Why not?" "Because I accept that level of quality. You will not."
Yeah. Well, that is true of a lot of things. It's like what you're willing to accept at home is not what you're willing to accept if I'm paying someone. If I paint my house, it's not perfect, I'm okay with it. If I'm paying someone else, like, look, I want this to look good.
Yep, that's exactly it.
The other point is in certain
when you're paying, it's worlds apart difference.
Well, and in some cases, I'm willing to put in enough hours to do something to get perfect. And so, I'm willing to pay you. I said, you can't afford me because my time is worth more than what the object would be worth. It's Hey, yeah, I'll spend hours and hours on something, but that's not go to someone else that can give you a fair deal. Because if I'm charging you $50 an hour, it's going to take me, 1,000 hours. That's not worth it to you for this.
Yeah, no.
No.
Hey guys, I'm gonna call it.
Yeah.
I got to get to work.
Yeah.
I've only got a couple
Yeah,
hours left. I can write
I got a
tonight,
diorama I'm working on. I got a few things I got to see about working on for it.
but I will see everybody tomorrow or Saturday. Omen, you're joining us Saturday, I
I
believe.
believe so. Yeah, yeah. Because I think my
Yeah,
escape's the
because
week
this
after.
is the week that I'm gaming with Bruce, so it's
Bruce.
always alternate for us.
Oh,
Okay.
Which is too bad. I kind of like Omen's character from what I've seen so far, and it's like I think we'd get along as the secret agent and the guy who's suspicious of everything.
well, who's who?
Secret.
Yeah, the night we had you both was actually a really good
Yeah.
night. But Omen's got some catching up to
Oh, yeah.
do. And
Yeah, he's gonna
Eddie's
tell us
finally
about
got a
the frost.
spacesuit, even if it's taped together.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's good. You just have to jury rig. That's. But yeah, I
Yeah.
was surprised. Just for travelers,
There
three
should be a
times
skill
your
in the game called
intelligence.
MacGyver.
Oh, I thought there was Jack of all trades.
Oh no, MacGyver is you can make anything out of anything. You can
Oh,
literally make a nuclear
there's
bomb out of chewing gum, a paper clip, and a hairpin.
Some duct
they
tape
also call that jury rigging, and there's a Mickey Mouse
Yeah.
saying,
and N-wording, rigging. Sorry, N-word rigging.
yes.
I won't say it. I have enough tact to not be crafting.
I will say perfectly legitimate word, but I'm sure it would flag shadow.
Hey, we didn't get kicked off YouTube right away for it, so I consider that a win.
Yeah, but I might get a community post or not a post, but
Yeah,
a
just reply.
I don't
He's retarded.
That's not technically wrong, actually.
Shut up! I'm not. I did not actually call him that. I said tell YouTube to call him that.
Yes, I will remember that if I hear anything. But they don't watch this show, so
Well,
don't have
they
to worry about it.
watch. The Panopticon sees all.
Good night.
And take care, off grid. I will see you Saturday. I mean Sunday. Maybe I'll see you Saturday. Maybe I'll see you Friday. But I am looking forward to our D&D game this week, as well as the Traveler game.
Yeah.
But everybody else out there in TV land, thanks for sticking around and playing along with us. This was fun. But I got to get to work. I got to write
So
some
do I.
stuff.
Yeah, I got some work I
And
need done myself.
it's still a school night, so I will see everybody when I see you. Have a great evening and
Good night, everybody.
happy trails.